Hello! How are we all doing? I do hope you can hear me. This new system's all fine and dandy, isn't it? As long as you can hear me. So, let me know if you can in the chat. Hello, Carol. Carol was the first in on my chat, followed by Debbie and Kim and Pandemonium. Hello, Pandemonium. Hello, young Jonathan. And who else have we got? We have Paul with us.
Yes, you're live.
Paul's living in the future, as ever. Excellent. Right. We've got Renee. Jonathan's trying to think whether he even watched the first one live. Oh, Jonathan. Really? It was Unboxingsville. It was amazing. You can always go back and watch it again. Right, who else have we got? Carol. Second Carol is with us. We've got an abundance of Carols and Debs. Excellent. Right, okay. So I'm going to try and start moving things around. That's always when it gets hairy, doesn't it? Right. Let me think. Oh, no, that'll be fine, she said. Right, let's put that there and let's do other things. You're not seeing any of this, which is awesome. But I do want you to see things like my main screen. So we'll have to do that so you can. And then press buttons. Yes, press more buttons. More buttons. Right, if I do that, we should have fireworks illuminating everything. I'm making no promises that this presentation isn't all over the place, but it's been that kind of week. So, can you see the fireworks, Mike? Not yet. Oh, not yet. I'm waiting. Please let you see the fireworks. Fingers crossed. Tap, 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 tap. This 20 seconds.
There we go.
Do you know, 20 seconds?
It's a long time.
It is when you're waiting for something.
Yes.
Yes, but other than that,
it's like
not,
a week.
Is it?
It's a long time in politics.
I know. Oh, please don't mention politics. No, I'll have to take my pills and
a day's a long time in cricket.
It is, but we've got more on that shortly. Okay, if you can see that, then excellent. We can move on. 200 shows. I do have a special little section dedicated to a very fast roundup. In fact, I'll talk more about it at the time, but whoa, I'd forgotten half of the things we've done. So what we will do, we will share what we're doing tonight. Again, hopefully that's about right. Oh, in fact, tonight's running order, how many times has it changed? And I wouldn't mind, but we had it fixed last week, but never mind. So we have the week at MacBites headquarters. That's this week at MacBites headquarters. Interesting old week, as usual. Then we have 200 not out. 200 shows. Unbelievable. You need to do the maths on that, Mike, and work out how many hours that is. I'll leave you with it. Then I'm hacking PowerPoint templates because they've got limitations that are erratic. Oh, if there's one thing I can't abide, it's things that aren't there, that aren't broken all the time. Because as soon as I ask somebody to fix it, it's like it's not broken. So we're dirty hacking PowerPoint. Then we have TwistedWave. So last week we looked at the transcription. This week we are looking at video editing with a real video that I edited that way. I will explain why I did that. But it's the real video. So it's got my real mistakes in it, you lucky, lucky people. It's all right, they weren't bad words. They may have been later in the file, but not at the beginning. But there were a couple of things that needed fixing. Then, based on what we talked about last week, we were talking about... What were we talking about that we got onto processing files? It was something to do with Hazel, wasn't it? We were looking at Hazel and then the question was asked about automatically processing files. So, something that shouldn't be broken, there's a theme here, isn't there? Something that shouldn't be broken, that is actually broken, is I can't get my split PDF service working. It was working fine on the Full Monty. It's not working fine on Ace Ventura. So, I've got another way. And I have built a system that I'm going to share with you. Then we have some freebies. We've got freebies and we've got a special offer. And then in Obsidian, new out this week is the official Obsidian importer. It's iteration 1, so it's quite simple at the moment. It's hard to go wrong. They are going to extend the functionality of it. But we will look at it as it is right now. We will create a new vault and we will do the whole thing from scratch. So if you're thinking of leaving Evernote, because, you know, they're thinking of leaving you and putting the prices up, that's a good one to watch. Then we have an unboxing. I know, another one, but, you know, we can't have show 200 without the unboxing, can we, Mike?
No.
No, that's how we started, and that's how we're going to carry on. So, we are broadcasting in 1080p. I am glad that you can see us. That is grand. I'm even more happy you can hear us. So, make sure that you are watching in HD. There is a cog in the lower right-hand corner. You will see a red flash there if you are at the highest res. And, of course, there is down there, very close by, just saying, a like button. We like the like button, but not as much as YouTube do. They like likes and they like comments. So if you commented last week, thank you for that. Got lots of comments last week. You can't comment, can you, when it's live? You can only put it in the chat. So if you've been live, you'd have to go back and then put a comment on it. Yeah. I'll just plant that seed in your mind as we carry on. Right, so the week at MacBites headquarters. We are galloping back to last Saturday, where we were basking in the glory of a session and it went really well. Which was when I decided, if this was Thursday, I wouldn't have dared tried this. But it was Saturday and I had the whole week to make the presentation for tonight. Which was when things went badly wrong. And I ended up, the bad words were said, weren't they, Mike? Oh, lots of them. But I found a workaround, I won't say a fix, a workaround, dirty hack, which I'll share with you. So I wouldn't want you to not have the pain that I did. So I'll share the pain and how I MacGyvered the dirtiest hack to fix it. Also on Saturday, Saturday was the first day of shipping for the July cohort of Ship 30. I had pondered I would be talking about Scrivener, but I changed my mind at the last minute. And I decided to go with setting up my new Mac. I've got a feeling it's going to take the month to do it. What day are we at the moment, Mike? Are we on day 9? No, hang on, 21st. Day 15. Day 15, and it's still, every now and then, I try and do something, it's like, that's not working. Like scanning something, because that's not happening. No, I think we're going to have to invest in a new scanner. So it's been an expensive business, but I decided that was what I would do. I would talk about the adventures of setting up my new computer. Which, as I was doing that, was when Tesco arrived. On a Saturday. Now, if you've been following along with the week at MacBites headquarters during our slight hiatus...
Can I just interrupt here?
Go on.
624 hours, 47 minutes and 26 seconds.
Oh, we need to put that on a slide. We do. Right. Hold that thought, Mike. 600 hours of us, good grief. Oh, so if you need to get to sleep one night, there you go. So, Tesco, yes. If you're following along in the week at MacBites headquarters... we changed our delivery to Friday night. They brought everything consistently. There wasn't the fiasco that we've had for months and months. So, this one, we were back to Saturday, obviously, because we were live on Friday. Well, we could have a Tesco delivery, couldn't we? We used to do that live in Brooklands.
Yeah.
Yeah, our music show. Yeah, we used to do the live Tesco delivery and give an update on what they didn't deliver. Anyway, items were in stock when ordered. Out of stock before delivery. Let's say they just didn't cover themselves in glory this week. As predicted and tried and tested, Saturday is not a good day for them. Well, not if you want to eat, it isn't. In horrifying news, as far as I was concerned, they sent, wait for it, unsalted butter. Now, your mileage may vary, but to me, unsalted butter tastes like lard, and I have no intention of partaking of it. Are you team salted or unsalted? Let me know in the chat. My logic is, butter's 80% fat anyway, so I might as well enjoy the flavour. But it could well be, it could be divisive as the Marmite thing. But to me, tastes like lard. So put in the chat, are you team salted or team unsalted? You know the other reason why I don't like unsalted, don't you, Mike?
No.
Because my mother insisted on giving it to me as a child.
Oh.
Because she was on unsalted. So if she had unsalted, I had to have unsalted. And when we would go out and eat, it was like, oh, this is gorgeous. It took me till my teens to realise she was trying to save me from the salt. It's not happening. Not happening. Anyway, by Sunday, I was investigating the new default font inside Microsoft 365 called Aptos, which that could be two words, couldn't it, and a double S. What a silly name. But apparently it replaced another name which meant Beer Street in German, I think. But I'm not speaking German. No, my French is bad enough without trying German. So
we're getting lots for salted here.
Exactly.
Apart from Rene, who doesn't care less.
You would if you were blind testing them. Oh, it tastes like lard. Yes, it's a new font. There are serif styles, sans serif styles, all the colours in all the sizes. And if you are on the fast track for updates to Office, you will already have it, like you said the other day.
Yeah.
Mike's already got it. The fonts, there were 10 of them. And the one that won, like I say, they renamed it. But it's replacing, what was the one they had? Calibri, which wasn't available on a Mac unless you installed Office. So you couldn't use that in other apps. Anyway, I don't know about this one, but it's new. It's new. But we're still on Saturday, aren't we? Because Saturday, brace yourselves, seriously, for the next one. There was breaking news on... Oh, no, it's Sunday, isn't it? There was breaking news on Sunday providing entertainment while I worked. All to do with a washing machine. And the breaking news was that AirPods Pro can survive a hot wash cycle. Seriously? Can't they, Jonathan? It was worth being on Threads just for that post this week. Thank you so much for sharing. It took away any pain I was experiencing with my tech on Sunday, Jonathan. How are they doing now? You were interested, weren't you? You were thinking it could be a potential solution to the earwax problem. Yes, indeed. So hopefully Jonathan will update us. And when I was laughing and giggling over that, Mike said, can I just say, do you remember when you took your keyboard into the shower? Yes, it met with a cup of tea back in the day when I used to have sugar. And yes, it survived. I have no idea how it survived, but it survived.
It's still good as new, Jonathan.
Excellent.
Very,
and looking
very clean.
And looking rather clean, I was going to say. Yes, sparkling, in fact. Genius, love it. Now, you see, on Sunday, I was fighting Microsoft on my demonic 2018 MacBook Air, which was why Jonathan's adventures cheered me up, no end. It's demonic because it needs 3 hours' notice of my need to do anything with it. Sunday's crisis was expecting it to update Microsoft Office without losing its tiny silicon mind. It crashed. Well, not the computer, the updater crashed. And then it went slow, and I'm trying to get the PowerPoint version installed, and it wanted to install Excel. So we fought happily for hours. I did find time while it was doing it, though, to work out what the first app was that I installed. Used to be Alfred, because I can't work without Alfred, can I? But I've moved to Raycast, and it wasn't even that. It was Vivaldi, because Safari was doing my head in. Nice Manc phrase there. Doing my head in. Do you know it's still got that open save files automatically thing ticked?
Oh.
But while that's ticked by default, it every time you go to a site, it doesn't ask you once if you want to download something. No, it asks you every single time you download from a new site. But it's still ticked to open it automatically. So Apple, get your ducks in a row if it's all the same with you. So Monday morning started. I thought, right, had a whole week to set this machine up. But 10 days after delivery, I was still finding apps, tweaks and more that I hadn't yet configured. Naughty, naughty. I think we need to open a book on how long it's going to take before this feels like home. Before there's nothing that I try and do that it can't do. Christmas is looking grand, isn't it? Just saying. But while that was happening, YouTube told me that I'd reached 3.5 million views. For the second time. Yes, you're wondering, aren't you? Yes, I got the little Billy Do to say that I'd reached 3.5 million views about 3 months ago. And then they changed their mind. And if you look at my stats, some of them say, where you've got like number of views in a day, I've got minus. I don't know how that can happen. I really don't. But apparently this time it's genuine and they're not going to thieve any views off me. So thank you to each and every one of you for watching. It is very much appreciated. So there was this Monday. This was Monday, yes. Much to Peter's doubtless frustration, I found a box set to indulge myself with. A masterclass in acting, if a little slow to get going. But, I do appreciate a decent drama with real people. And these actors are of an age where you don't see actors that old anymore, do you? They've all got to be bimbos. Then I was thinking it was nice to see real people who could act, not silicone-enhanced bikini-clad bimbos on Love Island. Don't think my thing gets Love Island. In fact, Peter will be glad to hear that my iTV is no more. Doesn't work on Apple Silicon. So won't be able to do that. I am limited now to box sets. So Tuesday came around, busy all day Tuesday. It was wall-to-wall online training sessions, but I did manage to save a time block for the Captain's Table Mastermind. This month's one, it's all changed at the Captain's Table. So it was this month. It was actually quite short. So I blocked the whole hour, which gave me 20 minutes spare. So Wednesday dawned, and with it, part 4 of the summer-long drama. And if you recall, happening on our doorstep at the other Old Trafford. At the end, well, I'm not sure if this was at the end of day 1 or if this was like halfway through day 1, because I can't watch it, paint dry, all that. England were said to be, and I quote, chipping away. That didn't sound like a rousing start, did it? But Mike was less interested than of late in the cricket. You're wondering why, aren't you? So was I. But the football is back. It might only have been a pre-season friendly, but they all count, don't they? And they won. And we're pondering whether your mother went, aren't we? Because she's on holiday in Scotland. Yeah, which is where it was. So we did wonder, but I doubt it. She didn't like football in her heyday, did she? So I don't think she's going to be herring off up there for a friendly. I was otherwise occupied too. I placed an order. Something to complement existing toys, and something that has been a long time coming to fruition. Slated to arrive on Friday. But did it arrive on Friday? Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Which took us on to Thursday. Yes, the cricket was still rumbling on, no end to the agony, but I found some proper sport. It's the Women's World Cup. The only problem with the Women's World Cup is where it is. Isn't it in Auckland?
Yeah.
Yes. The timing doesn't really work for me. I'm in bed at that time. But never mind, I did see it, and I have read all the saga about it as well. But into every life a little rain must fall. Yes, there I was, trying to install Hindenburg, which I know is a universal binary app. So I shouldn't have had a problem, should I, Anna? It shouldn't have demanded Rosetta, but it did. Oh, you know what I'm like with support tickets. I don't like support tickets. You've got to explain everything 3 million times. But they came back and said, try not now. That didn't work either. If you don't install it, you can't install Hindi. And I just haven't installed Rosetta. It's nothing personal, I just don't want to. So, back to the drawing board. But I then got notification that the Friday delivery of new toys was, I think we need a drum roll for this, DPD. Oh, I was more than excited, I'm telling you. Now you're wondering why. DPD means 2 things. It stands a good chance of arriving, for a start. And secondly, it stands a good chance of not being thrown over the 6-foot fence, like previous deliveries. So, result on that front. Also means you get a time slot. But we know what happened after that, don't we? But that's a tale for next week. Meanwhile, back at the cricket, and the former BBC tech correspondent, Rory Kefflin-Jones, I read this tweet and I just laughed out loud. I had to read it to Mike. It sums it up to perfection. I've just switched on the cricket and rain must have stopped play because they're showing some fantasy drama where England are 300 for 2 and Crawley's heading for a double century. For the non-cricket savvy, England were at that stage doing rather well. Something England fans never expect. Hence, a fantasy drama where they were winning. But of course, there's a long way to go at this stage, isn't there? They're not even halfway.
No.
I did check out the scoreboard. Because by the end of play, England were doing even better. We all needed to lie down and recover from the shock. Looking at the scoreboard, though, I realised why Mike likes the cricket. If ever anything called for a spreadsheet expert, the cricket scoreboard does, doesn't it? Have you done a cricket scoreboard? That'd be good. You need to do that, Mike, for a demo. I mean, just look at it. You know, football, 1-0. That's it. Cricket, degree in quantum physics, if you're all right with that. And despite the fact it was Thursday, after Saturday's Buttergate debacle, we were trying to outwit Tesco's again. How did that go? we got everything we ordered. It's clear it's just Saturday where they play with your mind. So this week we've got more food than we need, but now it's back to a week, isn't it? And I'm not sure if you can do next Thursday. So it's all tricky. It's all tricky. Trickier than that is why every time I need to work on the show does Notion go down. If you look at that, it was like the hour and a half from hell. Every time I tried to do something, I got another notification that you can't do that, and the cookie consent isn't working, and you can't open Pages. And I thought, good job. I'll just put the whole thing in Obsidian, and when you're feeling better, I'll add it back. It's every Thursday night or Friday. I swear to you, it is. Talking of Friday, Friday. Obviously, it was DPD, so the toys were on their way, but I must resist the urge to install new toys on show day. It's my mantra. It never ends well. So I just sat there all day with the toys are there, the toys are... No, you must not install new toys on show day. Do you remember the worst thing I ever did on show day, Mike? He should do, it be seared on his brain. I installed a new beta version, I kid you not, a beta version of Audio Hijack 10 minutes before a live Marooned at MacBites headquarters, which was followed directly by a 5-hour Brooklyn's 196 show. No problem with that, as long as it worked. But that was when I found out the developer had changed the beta licensing key and forgotten to send the keys out. Remember now, Mike?
I do remember now.
Worst words ever, and the fastest rollback in history on that one. And I couldn't even share with you what I'd done because the beta was under NDA at the time. So, altogether, I must resist the urge to install new toys on show day. Except Hindenburg. Oh, my support tickets worked. And I have Hindenburg installed. So I must say a huge public thanks to Hindenburg support for reconfiguring their entire install process so I don't have to install Rosetta. You can be sure it's much appreciated. Which means I can edit audio again. Woohoo! Meanwhile, back at the cricket, one last thing before we time travel. Quote from Mike summarising day 3 of the test match. England are doing rather well. But, there's always a but, isn't there? The forecast for the weekend is torrential rains and storms. So, it's still more than possible England will snatch a draw if they're lucky from the jaws of victory. 2 more days to go, fingers crossed. But my mum and dad, when I was a kid, always used to say, Mum would say to Dad, when's the test match on at Old Trafford? And he'd tell her and she'd say, right. And he'd say, why? You know, it could be 3 weeks away. So she said, well, I won't be painting that weekend because it always rains. So if the same happens again, my mother predicted it. Right, so 200 not out. The big news tonight is that it's our 200th show. So I thought we'd take a little bit of time and look back at some of the highlights. I know many of you have not been with us since the very start. So you may not know that show 1 was not actually show 1. It was just going to be one show called MacBites After Hours. We had no idea when we decided to do that one live show. We'd still be doing it 5 years later. If you are unaware, that first show was something we talked about for a while because our MacBites live events, which always coincided with the Apple events, were being ruined by their increasingly bizarre announcements. And people would say, you know, I don't really want to listen to Apple. I want to chat to everybody. So can we have a MacBites live, they said, without an Apple event? So we randomly picked the 16th of November as the night that we do a live stream because we'd got a ton of kit and we could unbox it. So there was something to see, and that was what we did. So my first unboxing was a shiny new laptop, a 2018 MacBook Air. My plan was it was intended to replace my 2012 MacBook Air. Apple were pushing the pink one. I did not buy the pink one. No, I went for the space grey one. But most of the images that I fished out, they were pushing the pink one. Did I mention that? So that was the first thing I unboxed, but I also had An iPad, a shiny new 11-inch iPad Pro I had. So I unboxed that as well. I didn't buy the keyboard with it. I got a cheap case. I always do that, don't I? Get a cheap case. The cheap case was about $3.99 and it's still on it now. Still looks like new. The Apple ones I've seen are just falling to pieces. But no, it's still on there now. Still fast as well. So what I will say with Apple iPads, I don't know why I bother with the Apple Care on those, you know. Now Macs are a different saga. But have I ever had to take an iPad back? Yeah. You took your first one back. Did I take an iPad back?
No, you didn't. It was me.
It was you.
It was me.
Yes, the first iPad, Mike took it back 3 times, 4 times. Oh, what a weekend that was.
You had to take your phone back though.
Oh, I did, because that was broken, and so was my iPod Touch. Yeah, so yeah, I can't play Russian roulette with it, but I've never taken an iPad back yet. Yeah, the time will come, obviously. Mike was making his own way, obviously. Nothing from Apple for him. It was a shiny new Microsoft Surface Pro. I want to know, Mike, how often do you use the pen?
How often do I use the Surface?
Well, that's true. Actually, it was very capable. It was a very capable device, that.
Yeah.
I think if you thought of it more as like an iPad, because I think the problem with it for me would be the screen. It was so tiny. It had a desktop interface on a kind of tablet device. But, yes, it's still going strong. Still going strong. So, that, as far as we were concerned, was it. We've done this live show. But, by popular demand, 2 weeks later, we did it all again. And so, MacBites After Hours was born. It was all your fault. It was you guys. You wanted more. So we did. So what I did was I went back through the presentations and the content we'd done, and I just picked a few highlights to share with you. One we did, we've shared arrivals at MacBites headquarters. Sometimes individually, sometimes quite a few of them. This was a good one. We have shared our tech adventures. The photos that you're about to see were taken the morning after the show where we unboxed everything. And my desk looked like that. That wasn't the best bit. The desk looking like that, not bad. It was the rest of the place. That was the floor. What a night that was. Oh my word. We unboxed so much. I wish I had a list of all of it. But you'll see we were colour coding our foam domes with cables at the time. So I had all the colours in all the sizes. Oh, and an old iPad, bless. We also had microphones that we were intending to take away with us. I think that cable at the background there is about 30 metres. And didn't they need that during lockdown in the end? They kept borrowing it. And we have a system here. We probably shouldn't tell you this in case you live closer and you may find coming around and visiting a good idea. But if you're swapping something, if somebody's dropping something off for us or we're leaving something for somebody, it's in Mike's Wellington boot in the porch, isn't it?
It is.
So the cable would be put in the Wellington boot. Not all of our tech deliveries...
Yeah, but the security camera's pointing at it.
Oh, there's 19 security cameras. It freaks people out. Not all of our deliveries were as successful as those, though. No. This one was a classic. The box contained two monitors, the ones that are sat on my desk right now. It's a miracle they were working. Yes, they did sling that over that 6-foot fence. It bounced off the concrete grid, as you can see, and missed my car literally by inches. So that was a great delivery, that one. Glad to report the tech was okay. We also shared when we went out, so a full English. Although, is there something missing from that, Mike? No, it's got mushrooms, hasn't it? Hash browns. There's no hash browns. Oh, good grief, it's a crisis. There's no hash browns. But Mike didn't mind about that. He made up for it with other things, didn't you? You seem to be enjoying yourself with that ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Rather too much, methinks. But I think that was the same weekend of my birthday in 2019. This year I shared my birthday with you guys, but back in 2019 we were at the Catenian weekend, weren't we? And it was my birthday on the Sunday. So I was given a choice. We could either go to Mass with the Bishop, or I could go to the Dogs Trust Fund Day. Shame about the Bishop, wasn't it? He probably missed us. We'd been before.
No beans.
Oh, no beans either. Good
Yes.
grief, you're quite right. Oh, that was only half a full English, that. It was a half an English. We went the year before, didn't we? And didn't we take Ollie with us that year?
We did.
But we had no dog with us that time because we're going straight from Cotignan. So, again, food. This one's a bit better. We've got, on this one, we've got hash browns and we got beans. There's not much in the way of bacon and there's only one sausage, but, you know, it was very nice because it was all fresh stuff, wasn't it, on the farm. We then headed off to the dogs. And no, this is not Lola. We found a Samoyed. They'd rescued her, hadn't they?
Mm.
They didn't even know like what breed she was. And we're like, what? There was a Sammy in rescue. Oh, we missed that one. And the Sammy was entering the dog dash. She did rather well. We, on the other hand, were still enjoying ourselves. Mike, more than most of us. That was Inglenook Farm, which was where the thing was. So after breakfast, we then headed back, didn't we? And Mike had his staple, which is hot chocolate and marshmallow, as you can see. But this was a recurring theme with Mike. This was somewhere else. Where was that? Oh, that was Bury, wasn't it? I think that was Market Hall behind us. Yes, it says the Bury something. So yes, so that was more for Mike. He does enjoy himself. Little too much sometimes. If you've not been with us long, you may not have heard us talk about Ollie. Ollie was, and still is, a dog who belongs to the son of a couple that we're friends with. And they had forgotten to book him in. They were going on holiday and they'd forgotten to book him in to the kennels. And the family in question, so his mum and dad, don't do dogs. And I said, we'll have him. Please, we'll have him. So he came to stay with us for a week. Oh, what a dog. We have Ollie to thank for the fact that we were taking him for a walk, although he quite fancied driving there. We were taking him for a walk when we met Lola. So this was when Ollie was heading back home. That's his bags and his toy. Do you remember Foxy? And his bed. And he sprawled out at the front door waiting to go home. And I don't know what the neighbours were thinking, but it was like a revolving door. Ollie went out and Lola came to stay. She brought her bed too. So way back in the day, Lola wasn't ours. We borrowed her. Do you remember?
She's got a Foxy.
She has got a Foxy. That's because she liked Ollie's Foxy. So we thought, well, she'd like a Foxy of her own. No, she likes Ollie's. She put her teeth through her own. But remember, I haven't got a photo of this, but if you'd have seen his face. Do you remember when Lola's previous family brought her round to stay and said, they stood at the door and muttered the immortal line, we think she's pregnant. And Mike and I both together, no warning, said it didn't happen on our watch. She said, no, it was intentional. So before long, not only was Lola coming to visit, but so were Lola's children. Was that one purple? They all have little things around their neck, little ribbons. Oh, aren't they adorable? Oh, it's one of her babies. And we needed to do a photo shoot for a magazine. And they said, take some pictures with the family. Mike and I looked at each other as though we're it. You know, there's the two of us. And I said, hang on a minute, let's borrow that dog. And it got published in the magazine. It's like, oh, look at the pretty doggy. But yeah, that's Lola's child. Lola's child. Other things we've shared, places we've gone, things we've done. This was at Old Trafford, meeting all the legends from days gone by. How many of you can name even one of those people? Put it in the chat if you can. Who should you be able to name? 1, 2, 3. I think there's 4 there that you may be able to name. You'll definitely name this next one. Oh, this was a grand night, wasn't it? This was out at the local theatre. This was the night we went to the Queen tribute act and it kicked off in the audience and the band disappeared from stage. And what were they singing as they disappeared? Frightened. Nothing's going to stop us now. What a night. And especially for Kim, of course Mike had all his women there. All of them. And there was a tale with those trousers. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, I split them. And you sewed them up.
Yes, the ignominy of it. Yes, It was mis-sewn, to be honest, wasn't it? So
It wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't Mike's fault. As soon as he put them on, I said, that's not stitched properly. And you could see his bare leg. So I could have left it that you could see his bare leg, but you can see how he attracts women to start with. So I said, go and get me a needle and thread and I'll sew it up. And there I did. But obviously it was a one-off, and I wouldn't admit that to anybody other than you guys. Far too domestic for me. I was back enjoying myself. I'm going to leave that up there long enough so you can see, obviously, there was tech and lots of it. Those are my birthday presents. You'll notice somebody thought it was a good idea to get me something from Ann Summers at the back. Yeah, that wasn't Mike. I could say what they were called, but I probably shouldn't, or we'll be taken off air. So I then had the pleasure of installing all of that, and I shared that with you as well. Do you know I've got more cables than that now? You saw some of them last week. But I did, and I had memory to install, not only for me, but for Mike as well, which was why I needed the KitchenAlia. And when I put that picture on Facebook, people were saying, why do you need a wooden spoon? Well, you can't install RAM with anything metal, so I needed the wooden spoon, didn't I? But to me, that was obvious. And when I'd finished, there was my setup. I'm looking at my setup now and I'm thinking, wow, they were two 24-inch monitors, I think, either side, with a 27 in the middle. Now I've got the 32 in the middle and I've got 27 either side. So this is why I need a bigger desk. I need to knock a wall down or something. Then we shared with you the joy, and we got a demo out of this as well, of President's Sunday, where Mike was president in 2019. We organised the entire event at Hotel Football. Oh, that was a great day, wasn't it? And the demo was, once we'd got the photos from the day, we wanted to present them to the other members of the group, but not just like, here's a photo and here's a photo. So we did a cartoon with our photos. And I showed how I put that together, what app I used, etc. But it went down really, really well. They loved that. And I think Tracy mentioned this photo that I edited of Mike. I'd had to take the background out for some reason, didn't I? So I ended up patching it, but you can't tell. You literally can't tell. And yes, that is United in the background. Mike strutted his stuff because you were president, so you were the big boss. And we all had a grand, grand day. What a day. We've also shared with you, that's not Lola either. That's our original Sammy. Aren't they lovely when they're clean? That was his second bath of the day, that one. Sadly, he had long gone by the time we started after hours, but we do celebrate his birthday every year. What a character. And what would he have been like with the visitors that we've had at MacBites headquarters? I was looking at that and I was thinking that was the year of the 700th. I thought that was Mike's desk, but it's not, it's mine. So little kitten back at that stage, and she's visited again, hasn't she? Belle, and she's much bigger now. So we've had that as well. Then, never let it be said that I'm not domestic. I baked a cake, and I iced said cake, and I did all of the icing on the top, cutting it out, and oh, what a day that was. But Mike, not satisfied with something that was absolutely fabulous that I'd done, and I did share with you guys at the time, Mike had to remind me of another foray into the kitchen I made, all to do with tech, that didn't end quite so well. This photo, that was my 24-inch white iMac. Oh, and my 17-inch MacBook Pro. Those were the days when stuff worked. And all my drives, you can't see the other three, but I had three on either side. Seagate 500 gig drives. That was the day iPad 1 arrived. It had actually arrived. Half of that detritus was the box and the case and all the other stuff that shipped with it. Why the kitchen was involved was it arrived a day early. Why was this a crisis? Well, Mike had booked the Friday off to enjoy it, and it arrived on the Thursday. My mum and dad were out, so I'd been left in charge of feeding myself. I'd half made the porridge when the iPad arrived. 3 hours later, I remembered the porridge. Yes, that is at 90 degrees to the floor. It had set solid. That's my usual level of competence in the kitchen. Then there was Lola. This was our lovely house guest, and she'd been guesting with us for about a year and a bit. Yeah, from the summer when she met Ollie. They met in the park, and we were like, oh, it's a Samoyed, and got talking to the family. By this stage, it was the end of September 2019. And she was staying with us again. And that was the day we got the big question. Yes, this was the most important thing. What big question? Well, they asked us if we would adopt her. And that was the day she moved into MacBites headquarters. She settled in. We officially adopted her, and she settled in very well with all her toys. She wasn't the only, I can't say animal, can I? No, I can't say animal. But she wasn't the only one. You may remember that I don't like to appear on video much, do I? So the problem with that is, how do I demonstrate things that require video? This was picture-in-picture feature of Cameo in PowerPoint. And the solution? Chicken stepped in. That's especially for Kiva. Let me know, Kim. Did Kiva hear that? Then there was Bollardgate. Who remembers Bollardgate? This was when cars were just knocking down bollards as if it was a sport. And the bollards are about 30, 40 yards from our front door, so that was grand as well. Now, you know that we have great internet connectivity. We are blessed with good internet.
Kiva loves chicken.
Good. Hello, Kiva. We are blessed with very good internet connectivity. We are. But when we went away, we decided to do the show as a YTP, a YouTube premiere, instead of having the whole thing ready at MacBites headquarters with said internet connectivity. No. I said, well, finish recording it when I get there. So we headed over to Yorkshire. I'm not blaming Yorkshire for this. I think it was the hotel. That was their internet.
All the dogs have become interested hearing that.
All the dogs need a chicken.
Finn.
Yes, they need a chicken. Yeah, that was bad news. Basically, the hotel was a Faraday cage. We had no connectivity on our phones either. It was going to take quite a while to upload a couple of gig at 0.04. We sat outside, it was October, it was freezing, at the smoking table, giving daggers to anybody who dared light up, while we tried to upload this thing. Somehow, we managed it. We also decided then the following year that we would go live from Alveston. Now you can see the benefit of the colour-coded cables and the foam domes. We had 6 microphones in that room. We had about 20 people with us. Luckily, we had a huge suite and we dragged in furniture from outside, garden furniture, so they could all have a seat. And we went live from Alveston. Oh, I know Annie appreciates my levels of organisation. So did you know it extended to colour-coordinated cables and windshields? Because if you didn't, you do now. So drawing to a close our quick look at the first 200 shows. In true Apple style, I have one more thing. When I was looking through the photos and the presentations from the past few years, I stumbled across a photo from February 2018. So obviously this was pre-after hours. Some of you will recall this incident, but some of you may be completely unaware of it. Now, for the following to make any sense, you need to know that when we go on holiday with our gang, we went to Warner Hotels. And they all have rifle ranges and archery places. And in all the time we'd been, Mike had never won the bullseye, I mean the target. He was safer with a bow and arrow than he was a gun, put it like that. The phrase I used was, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So, you can imagine my shock when he managed to hit me. I was minding my own business, behind him. I hear the bullet hit the metal target, only for it to ricochet back into my shoulder. The shrapnel that was extricated from said shoulder is in the lower left corner, the penny shown for reference. That was in the morning. In the afternoon, when I was recovered and plastered up, we moved on to the archery. But trust me when I say I kept my distance with that one. Just look at the ponderous expression on his face, bow in hand. I made sure I was behind him. Let me know in the chat if this is the first time you are hearing of that. Yeah, that shrapnel, it was quite big. Yes, I did keep the shrapnel. Didn't somebody say to me, there's a saying, a bullet with your name on it. I own the bullet with my name on it. I kept it. So we would both like to say a huge thank you to all of you for sharing our adventures in tech and so much more. So we got any comments at that point that I need to be aware of, Mike?
Kim says she loves this story.
Do you know, there were so many things. It was a case of what to leave out. So let's just say we've got lots more for when we get to 300 or 400 or even 500. Dizzying heights. Mustn't get too giddy. And has Kiva settled down now? Sorry about that. Should warn you if chicken's coming out, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I think Kiva's settled down now.
I hope all the dogs have settled down. Right, so let's get on with my dirty hacking. Oh, there's always a saga, isn't there? Right, if you recall, I was fighting PowerPoint. A new computer's an opportunity to improve things. Stop laughing at the back, famous last words. But I was updating the after hours PowerPoint templates and I decided to create a few additional bits and pieces. So the type of stuff that I wanted to do was, in my template, I want to see that this was one of the existing master files. And it was working absolutely fine. So all I needed to do was add this one. I mean, how difficult could it be? Well, glad you asked. 3 computers, 2 operating systems, and copious bad words later, far too long later, to be honest, it proved to be completely impossible. So I'm going to share the problem and, more importantly, my MacGyvered solution. So let's go have a look at the problem. So for that, I'm going to have to come out of PowerPoint. So I'm now out of PowerPoint. I've got to go and find the new file that I'm working with. So there's my PowerPoint templates, and I'm going to open up this file. Why have you gone black? You should not be going black. I wanted to come out of there. Let's try that instead. No. What are you doing? Right, that'll do. Let's get that back to where it was and show you this. So what I did with this was I created a new file. So I went to File. I went to New from Template, don't want a blank one, and there is my After Hours template, which is exactly what we've got behind us here, but I've already put some stuff in so we can see the problem. But that's what I've done with it. So in here, this is the kind of stuff I have. I assume we're having a week at MacBites headquarters. I assume we're having an unboxing. And this is my traffic light system for completing it. We usually go for Tesco's, but if we've got Asda, Sainsbury's or Morrison's, they're there as well. It's faster to delete 3 slides, the 3 that aren't coming this week. And sometimes you go for 2, don't you? So sometimes you have 2 deliveries or 3. So it's easy to delete it. And that's what I've done all the way through this. So one thing that I have for speed is all of this setup. So if we look at this here, you can see I've got days and there's a blank one in every one as well. And then I've got the first section that we have, the second section that we have, and so forth, the freebies. So all of that is in there, but that is standard content. That is not the templates. The templates are in a different place entirely. So this is standard content that I would go into and I would edit. So if I was doing this for next week, I would go into there and I would do that and I would put the date like that. But while that is based on what's called a master slide, I've already created it and it exists in there. You will notice in here, what is not in here is anything with the comic thing and nothing with the time on it, because I don't know at this stage whether I'm going to need that or not. So that doesn't make sense to put in there and delete because I don't know where it would be. These are probably going to be on a Saturday or a Thursday from now on. You never know. So the other area where I would store standard content is in a master. So if I go to view the masters, this is what you're looking at. These are the slide masters. Now, if you're used to Keynote, PowerPoint's a little bit different. In Keynote, you have what's called a theme. In PowerPoint, you have a slide master, and then this is the actual master at the top. All of these are variations of it. And the rationale behind that is, in here, if you put something on it, so if I go in and I just put a circle on it, for example, let's just put that on there. If I put that on this master at the top, you see it appears on all the derivatives below it. If that isn't what you want, if you just wanted that on the section one, then you paste it on there and it doesn't appear on all of the others. So that's the key to remember with the slide masters. Right, so what did this mean as far as I was concerned? Well, I've got the white one. And if we scroll down, I've got this red one, which is the background for my branding. Scroll down more, I have a black one. And the black one is the one that has the day and the date on it. So I have created those days from this slide master. But this is actually where I would change it if I wanted to change the font, the size, or anything like that. Then we've got the blank one. And somewhere in here we have the cartoon quote. That was working fine. Going down, I've got my desktop colour in there as well. I've got this one, which is industrial. So it's an industrial background. Keep going. I've got the MacBites branding. I've got the Christmas branding, which is red. And I've got the Premier League and all of the football stuff. And you can see in here, this one just has the stripe at the top. Then I've got blank ones with the stripe at the top. The reason that there are multiple ones of these is if you look there, I have a mask that is masking certain content. So that's why I've got multiple pages with that. So I've got the Premier League, Champions League, etc. Then I've got my Obsidian one. And my Obsidian one needed updating as well because the branding has changed. So this is an old version of this. I have since changed that, and that was fine. All of that went brilliantly. Where it all went sadly wrong was doing something incredibly simple, which was all I wanted to do. This is the blank slide. All I wanted to do was duplicate it. So I duplicated my layout and then I needed to add something to it. So what I needed was I will show you in here, please. Oh, you're not, are you? Oh dear. Right, I will go and get a real file that is my slide library. So my slide library is where I don't use these slides often enough for them to be a template or be included in there, but I do repurpose them every now and then. PQRS, where are we? PowerPoint. Right, so this is my slide library. So it says slide library at the top, and then I've got all of my slides in it, and this is where I've got this one. But I use it frequently enough that it didn't make sense to just have it in there. So what I thought was, right, let's take that. And you can see here that the font is DS Digital and the size is 300. So I just copied that from there. And then I went into here. Now, I could just put the text on it. But if I do that, I can't edit it. So when I make a slide based on that slide, I can't edit it. It's going to say 12 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever time it says. So what I actually need to insert is a placeholder. And you have a range of different types of placeholder, but this one is only ever going to have text in it. So I drew out roughly a text placeholder. I then put that in ballpark the right place. So you can see the red lines like that. And I moved it up a bit from there. But I didn't want this text in it. You always get this. But you can go into it and delete the text. But you'll see there's still a bullet point. So I then had to go to the Home tab and delete the bullet point. Right, at this point, I could then paste my text in. I don't think it's tricky for you to notice that that isn't in the right place, nor is it the right size. But, you know, keep the faith. So I selected it and I moved it to the centre. And then I needed to put it in the middle, which is this option here, top, middle or bottom. Right, I only needed to do one more thing with that, which was the size was 300, you will recall. So this is 96 in here. I thought, I wonder why when I copied it at 300, it's pasted it at 96. But 96 is something special to PowerPoint. If we look down the bottom, 96 is what it thinks is the maximum you would ever need a font. But luckily you can overtype that. So I double clicked in there and I typed 300 and I pressed enter and nothing happened. I thought, oh, I wonder what's going on here. Well, I had this upside down. I had you try it, didn't I?
You did.
I even, because my Apple Silicon don't have Windows at the moment. Mike's blessed with physical Windows boxes and all kinds of stuff, aren't you? So I had him test it on Windows. Guess what? Did exactly the same. No matter what I did with that, I could not get that to 300 points, which seems ridiculous. At that point, it was impossible. It can't be done. Now, since then, I have tried it and I have had some success. But as you can see here, it's erratic. We loathe erratic problems, don't we? No matter how many times I try and do this, it is not going to do it. It just won't do it. So if you find yourself in the same predicament that I was in, I want it 300 and it wasn't having it, what can you do? Now, potentially, if you create a brand new file that doesn't have anything in it, it might work. It might not, but it might. But that isn't going to do you any good because you need to bring it into this file here. Why does it sound like Beirut outside, Mike?
Probably fireworks to celebrate our 200th.
Oh, right, fair enough. Carry on then. Never mind. I'm sure the microphones are not picking it up. So this was my problem, and I could not do a thing with it. Has anybody got any idea what I could do to make that right? Now, it needs to be editable, so I can't make it a graphic because what I really want, if we leave that one there in the middle, and what I can do with this is on the slide master, I can go to rename it. So if I call that time, and I'm going to put 96 on it, so I know which one it is. But if I go back to my presentation and I go to new slide, they're all listed in here, including my time 96. I can click on that, and now it's lost the font as well. Yep, did I mention playing with my mind? Right size, wrong thing entirely. This is what it's doing. It's not predictable. So this was what I did to fix it. Has anybody had a guess yet, Mike?
Joe says goes a text box to 300.
If you could convert a text box to a placeholder, that'd solve the problem, but you can't. You can in Keynote, but you can't in PowerPoint. So that did not end well. Let's leave that there. Let's move that out of the way onto the other screen. Because, and in fact, let's just bring that back and show you something else. Because I was thinking to myself, hang on a minute, why is this one working? Why is that one working? So I clicked in there and went to have a look. It's 96 points. It is the maximum it would do, so that was why it was working. So again, back to drawing board. At that point, could not fix it. So this was what I did. Very naughty this, but it worked. So I cranked up Keynote and I wondered what Keynote could do with it. So if I just make a basic presentation in here, you do have to fiddle a bit. I'll be honest with you, you do. For a start, while that is widescreen, 16:9, it's too big. So in here where it says widescreen, I'm going to go to custom slide size and I'm going to make this 1280 by 720. If I don't do that, then I need fonts that are even bigger than 300. So that's what I'm going to do with that in there. The theme itself doesn't actually matter that much, but you can change the theme in there because obviously I want a black background, or you can just add it in. All you need to do in here is back in the format, and this isn't particularly the slide that I want. I really want a blank slide. So if I go up there and I go to the blank one, I will get a blank slide, which is a good place to start. Right, then edit the slide layout. Now you can see all of these things here, but this is the blank one that I'm actually editing. So I can in there duplicate that, and here is my blank copy. What I then want to do is call that time, and I'm going to put in it Keynote so we know where it came from. And then I'm going to do the formatting in here. So from the colours in there, I will make the background black and I will put my text in. So there's my text in the middle. I'll just put a time in it. I will select that and I will format it. Not use Keynote in that long, but DS Digital is installed. Where are we? There we go. It needs to be bigger than that, so let's make it 300. Excellent. Colour's not right, so I need to go into here. Happen to know in there that I do believe it's that one, or nearly that one. Let's have a look at that one and see these. Nearly. So that's 255. So it's 02550. Or 00FF00. That is fine. So that's the right colour for it. It's the right colour. It's the right size. And it's a master. So I click OK. If I want a slide based on that, I do that. But it's telling me that I need to edit the slide layout because I didn't make it a placeholder. So let's go back into it and make it a placeholder. Now this is where you can, in Keynote, which is I think it's a better system. Let's put it like that. But in Keynote you can convert stuff. You just need to know how. So selecting that, if I go up to Format and Advanced, I can in here define it as a text placeholder. Doing that means when I come out of it and we're in here, I can now edit this. So if I wanted that to say 2100, I could. There we go. Right. So far, so good. Right. What I did next was I don't need these slides particularly. So I just wanted to be left with this. But it's not the slide that I actually need. It's the master. So I actually went in here and all of these I deleted. They're not in use, so they don't even give me a warning of any description. I just got rid of them. So I was left with one master slide, like that. At that point, I needed to save the file. So I'll stick this, I shouldn't stick it on the desktop, but I will. Right, time, Keynote. At this stage, it's just a Keynote file. It is not a template. It's a Keynote file. I don't particularly need it to be a fully fledged template. What I need is the master. So we can lose, no we can't actually, I'm lying to you. Right, I've saved the file, but I can't open a Keynote file in PowerPoint. I can, however, export this to PowerPoint. So let's save that, put that on the desktop, and the second copy will be PowerPoint, which PowerPoint will be able to open. So this is the PowerPoint version. Let's just check that. You can see it is PowerPoint and I will open that. Opened on the wrong screen, but there it is. So it looks absolutely identical. And the thing is, if I go in to my slide masters, I have a slide master and I have a derivative of it and it's positively perfect. I can tell that this is editable because it's got a dotted border around it. So far, so good. Now, where did I want to put this? So I'm going to move this. Let's put that on the right-hand side of the screen. This was the file that we were working with, you'll recall, that didn't work properly. So what I'll do with that is put that on the left of the screen. Both of these files, so this one is in slide master mode, indicated by the slide master menu. This one is not, so I will put it into slide master mode, which you can get to with view slide master. You can see that that was far too tiny, but if I grab this and I put that in there, now I have exactly what I want. So if I close that and make a new slide, I don't want a new slide like that, so I'm going to go into Slides, New Slide, and I'm going to look for the one that's correct in here, which is Time Keynote. Now, instead of seeing the text, it actually says click to add text. So as long as I go in there and I do that, it works. Is that the dirtiest hack ever? You should not need a second app to make the first app work. Yes. But you know what? It's not broken. It now works. So I can only suspect that what I did was when I moved from PowerPoint, from Keynote to PowerPoint, I must have done some jiggery pokery where in my masters in here with the cartoon one, that was what I did with it. And I had no idea that it wouldn't actually work if I tried to make it myself, which it didn't. So this was one I did earlier today. Incorrect. This was one you saw me do. Incorrect. This one that comes from Keynote, it works. The only good news in all of this, because this is predictable, I can predict that this will actually work. Sometimes PowerPoint behaves, most of the time it doesn't, as you've seen. I cannot change the size of that text. There's no smoke and mirrors here. It just doesn't work. But this is predictable. This way works. And the only good news is Keynote's free. Why don't I use Keynote? If you are new and you have no idea why I don't use Keynote, Keynote ate my slides. And it did it once, about 5 minutes before I went live. And I thought it was a blip. Then it did it a second time. And then I was watching a presentation from somebody, and they were usually a really great presenter. And they didn't seem prepared at all to me. It wasn't until the end of the presentation that they said, I'm sorry about that, and they were really confused. I'm sorry about that, but my slides, some of my slides just weren't there. And I thought, is he using PowerPoint? Yes, he was. And then I do believe young Jonathan had his Keynote eat something at some point as well. So at that point I was done. 3 strikes and it was out. And that was why I use PowerPoint. But it's handy that Keynote is still there and I know how to use it, because that is the dirty hack to fix that. So, do we have any questions about any element of that, Mike?
We have one question. Was AutoFit off for this PowerPoint text box?
I have no idea, but that wasn't making a difference. I didn't go in and change anything, and I had tried it multiple times, so I don't think that was the issue. You tried it with the default settings on Windows, and it was exactly the same. It's just bizarre. We did think earlier in the week it was fixed. I've still got that issue, Mike, that I am on. If I just show you in the help, check for updates. Don't do an update, crying out loud. But in the check for updates, there is an advanced option. And in here, you can choose the beta channel. So you have very safe, safer than the beta and the beta. And obviously, I not only choose the beta, but I also say to automatically download it. Yeah, living on the cutting edge, trust me. But it's meant that I've got one version on this machine and I've got a newer version on the other machine, the machine that's not working. So, yes, they've updated it this week, and that did make a change, and now it's back to where it was. So, no, I have had this working, making absolutely no changes, but I've also had it broken in a newer version. It's just random. It's bizarre and random. So, do we have any other questions about that?
No other questions.
Right, let me get rid of all of these presentations that we don't now need. Come on, let's get these off here as well. Where are you? Hang on. You need to go in there.
Annie says skill set is off the scale for us mortals.
Do you know, I was about to give up with it, and I thought, just a minute. I'm sure I didn't have this problem in Keynote. I had plenty of other problems in Keynote, but not that one. So let's do that. And I had no idea if saving it out as PowerPoint would make a proper, usable PowerPoint template, but it did. So always try weird stuff. Always try weird stuff. Right, need to get rid of all of these. So that is my slide one, and that is tonight. So let's get that back up and running where you can see it. Awesome. So that was something that was impossible. It was quite a few steps. That was what I needed to do. I needed to create an entirely new slide layout in Keynote, save the Keynote file as PowerPoint, open that file in PowerPoint, switch to the slide master, open where it was going and switch to the slide master, and then drag and drop them in and save it as a template if it's more than one. So in my case, I was trying to update the template. If you only need it in one file, you don't need step 8. But other than that, those are the 8 steps to get you there. So never let anybody tell you that something is impossible, because everything's possible, even the impossible. It may be impossible for them, but not for you, because you watch After Hours. There you go. Right, so if we've got no more questions about that, no, we'll move on to the next thing, which is editing video in TwistedWave. So for that to make any sense, you need to be aware that TwistedWave is an audio editor. We looked at it last week and I explained why we use it. It is the only editor I've ever seen that lets you re-edit and edit without undoing. So when we're checking MacBites or videos that we've made and we want to make an edit, you need enough of a tail on the edit for it to sound natural, but not that much that you've got coughs in it and stuff. So you want to take it out and then preview it. And if you need to re-edit it, you just edit the edit. That's why we're using it. So it's available for both Mac and Windows. In fact, it's also available online if you wanted to try it online first. So it is a great audio editor. But until this point, it's not been able to edit video, obviously. It's an audio editor. So this is the edit that I'm talking about. When you've made an edit, when you've cut something out, when you have copied it and moved, whatever you've done with it, you get this line. And either side of the line, you see the triangles. And that is indicating that you've made an edit. So this is what that edit looks like over on the left-hand side. So it's a single audio track, but it is stereo. So we have what looks like 2 tracks, but they're not 2 tracks, they're 2 channels. And that is what the edit looks like close up. So that is indicating that I have taken something out of there. But the handles, the triangles, are the editing bits. So that is what we're looking at. So let's go in and get some audio. So I am going at this stage to be playing around with some video. So I'll warn you, we think the audio is about the right level, don't we, Mike?
We do.
But it might not be, so you've been warned. So when I play it, you might, if you've got headphones in, Jammy, you might want to take them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this. I've got my audio file, which is a video file. I will show it to you. So let's get this opened in TwistedWave. That is, it might look like an audio file. It's not. It's a video file. So it's an episode of the week at MacBites headquarters, which was the show we did for 4 weeks while we were waiting for new toys to arrive. So in there is video as well as audio. Now I can see at the beginning we got some music, and I can see we got some music at the end. I'm about to press play. You've been warned. You might need to turn this down a bit, but maybe not. Michael, let me know. Incoming MacBites. Hello! How are we all doing? Right, hopefully that didn't deafen anybody. That's the level you need to be at to hear this stuff. So, with this is the final file. Obviously at the moment you're thinking, where's the video? Well, glad you asked. In the video, you get to turn the video on. So how I was doing that, was that okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Right. How I was doing
And only wants to know what's the riff.
What riff?
What is the riff, please?
Oh, at the beginning? I've no idea. We've had that ages, haven't we? I think we bought it from a stock site. You know, the music.
Yeah.
The guys who live quite close. Yeah. Yes, I think we got it from them. Right, so I've got the video at the bottom. So far, as I'm in here and I am moving back, you can see there's nothing at the beginning, but once it starts playing, we've got the week at MacBites headquarters. And then as we move through it, we have Saturday. Oh, that weather, that was bad. We're 20 degrees cooler than that at the moment. Ah, that's a Manchester summer. So this is the video of it. And the audio is playing along with it. Now, I would normally not be editing the final output video, but you can see this one says unedited, and this was genuinely done for a reason. So what happened was, the first week I did the week at MacBites headquarters, I did the audio on my poorly machine, and it didn't end well. It needed that many redos. So the second week, I said to Mike, I'll have to do the audio on yours. And if I'm doing the audio on yours, I might as well do the visuals on yours. So what I actually had was a Camproj file, a Camtasia file, with the images in it, with the video and the audio. But my machine couldn't cope running Camtasia. So I had to try and edit it on Mike's. If I could only explain the pain of that to you, it was bad. It was really bad. For a start, the chair isn't comfortable, is it? The mouse isn't right. There was that much wrong with it. He's getting grumpy now. But it didn't feel like mine. So I thought, right, I'll sit at my machine and I will edit it in Camtasia the same way I would normally do it through Remote Desktop. Remote Desktop couldn't cope. That was nothing to do with my machine being poorly. It was the fact that when I pressed play, and I saw a bit that needed editing, it wouldn't edit the right bit. Remote desktop, just not good enough for it. So I'm like, oh, I want to edit this on mine, which was the point that TwistedWave said, we're going subscription. How about you have this video editing capability? And I thought, right, I'm going to try it for real. So I took the CamProj file with the mistakes that were in it, exported the thing to the final video, and that is what we're looking at now. But there are mistakes in it that I needed editing. There was also other bits in it that I needed as well. I've just realised that. But what I have in front of me is exactly what I started with. So what I did with this was I went through it and I marked where I needed to edit. So my first edit is actually what I call an in edit. So what I'm going to do is show you that at this point you can see a gap. This gap, I needed to put some other sound on it. This is a breath, and that looks like a lip smack. So what I would do with that is take it out. Now, if you look at the bottom and we play that through, so I'm just pressing play and you can hear it's a breath. If we look at what we've got on the screen, it's not changing from one thing to another. So I can literally just press backspace and it's gone. And it's taken it out of the video. Now, that's because up in video, I have video edits follow audio edits turned on. That's all I need to do. Make sure that's turned on, make sure I can see the video, and I'm good to go. So I've made an edit there. But here, I actually need to put something else in there while this is on the screen. So that carries on for a while. Let's move that. And eventually it changes there. So this bit here, I needed to put something in there. And this is how I do it. Press the M key and add a marker. And I have codes for it to be organised so I know what I'm doing. And what I'm doing here is I'm editing something into it, and actually it was Siri. I was editing Siri into it. So that was one thing. Right, the next one, so moving along, at this point, I will let you hear a mistake. So at this point, I'm talking about bad words were being said and I fell over my teeth. So listen to that. Yes. Very bad words were said. Very bad words were said. Okay, so this bit here needs to come out. You'll notice at the beginning of it, that bit there, it says bad words were said, and that bit there says bad words were said. So technically speaking, I would be able to lose that and no one would be any the wiser. But what I would do on that, I tend to go through it first and have a look at it. So at that point, I would put another marker in, and this is an edit out, an E out, right? And I would put bad words. Now, I'm doing this so we can go through this all at once and you can see it all. There was two other bits, I think. One was 6 minutes 10. So let's move up a bit to 6 minutes 10. What on earth did I say wrong at that point? You know, I couldn't find an L on Elon bit either. Right, what did I say here? Something about, there was an So just to show you how precise you can be, if we listen to that bit, but your mileage may vary, and it looks great on iPad. Right, so there's an it's that bit there. So if I put that just before there, press M again, that's an E out and it's an Okay, and there's one more edit that I'm going to do, which is 6:32-ish. When I'm talking about Lady Lola, and I think I fell over my teeth again. In my defence, I was sitting at Mike's machine at the time. It was a wonder that was all that happened. You were very kind to lend it to me, though, weren't you, Mike?
Backhanded compliment.
Yes, just sweeten him up a bit. Right, something Lady Lola in here. Not as shocked as Lady Lola. Right, so it's that bit there. We do not need that bit there. So again, if I was going through it with what edits were needed, I would mark it as another edit out, and that is to do with Lola. So those are my edits. Right, I can see my edits if I go to markers and I go to the marker window. This then gives me a list of my edits, which is why I bother to put the markers in, because I can just now whip to them. So that's the first one. There's the second, there's the Lola one, there's the it goes straight to it. Then all I need to do is actually do it. So first of all, we'll do the bad words bit. So I've got that selected, but you can see it goes from my edit to the next marker. So I don't particularly need all of that, so I'm just going to click here. So this was my bad words bit, wasn't it? Let's have a listen. Yes. Very bad words were said. Very. So I need to get rid of that bit there. All I need to do with that is the backspace. This is the edit. So if we zoom into that, I could bring that back if I wanted to bring more. I could tighten it up. I could take it all the way to there. And then I have a listen to it. See how it sounds. Yes. Very bad words were said for the rest of... So at that point, I've edited the audio and it has automatically edited the video for me. So bad words have been dealt with. So let's go to that that we had. Where was the And it looks there. Now this is why, if I was in Camtasia, I'd probably leave that in, because editing audio in Camtasia is nowhere near as precise as editing it in here. So in here, I can just make sure I've got just the right bit there. That looks about right. And again, just take it out and then play it through. And it looks great on a... Yep. So we've got the dealt with. You'll notice down here that the E out for the has gone. And that's because it's contained within what's hidden in the edit. So if I wanted that back, I could pull it back and now we've got that back. So let's just leave that there. And that should appear down here. I don't know why it's not, because it's there. We can see it. But there you go. So we've done that one. So let's get the Lady Lola bit done. And then we'll go on to the trickier thing. So, in there. Not as shocked as low... Not as... Right, so let's take that back to there. And what I'm doing here is, if I look up here, you can see what's on the screen at that time. And you can see at the end that's on the screen. So editing this won't make a difference. If it's talking head that you're editing, obviously you're going to get jump cuts. But for the stuff that I do, it's never talking head, unless it's chicken. And chicken doesn't move much on his own, surprisingly enough. So it's incredibly easy for me to do that. Just get rid of that there. Now, this one, the Siri edit, right, this is a gap. So let's listen to it. So far, so good with that one. Then it... Right, so what I've done here is leave space for something to be punched in to the edit. So at this stage, I'm looking at what is on that screen there, and it's the 1Password on the iPhone. At the end of that, we're on to a different slide. So I'm looking at this, and I left the first slide on there for enough of what I need to push in, I think. If it was longer still, and I grabbed this and said insert something there, it's going to extend what it sees on the screen into what I push into it. So if you don't have enough space, it will extend your video. I think here I will have enough space, and I think I'll probably end up taking a bit more out. But how do we punch something into it? Stupidly, my fault, I haven't got the file that I was punching into it. I'm hoping I'll be able to find it and that it won't take all night. So do we have any questions while I go and find this file, Mike?
No.
Oh, well, can you make one up?
Tony's just joined us.
Oh, that's handy, because it was Tony that asked about this.
Exactly, I've just said that.
Right.
He's going to catch up tomorrow.
I'm looking at the but I think it will be in the studio, and oh, darn it. I don't see it, but it must be there somewhere. I didn't have this machine at the time, so it would have been on the other one, but it would have been in Dropbox, surely. Oh, for crying out loud. Where have you gone? I'm not going to be able to insert the bit that I wanted to insert, to be honest. Oh, I know what we'll do. Oh, we'll do an extended demo. You know, it's 200. Let's do an extended demo. Right. What I'll do is I'm going to open up an editor. I can't remember for the life of me what was said, but it was something like... not set this up, have I? So what I'm going to do in there is I'm going to create a new session, and I will show you that when I've done it. So, oh, this could be tricky. Why didn't I just find the file, Mike? I blame you.
Which file is it?
You're not going to be able to find it. It's the Siri file where he says something like, that's what you think.
Oh, no.
No, you wouldn't have it. I would have it.
Yeah.
Right. What I need to do here is find...
I've got some files from that episode.
The files from this are all over the place because obviously we had a problem. When something's not working, everything is all over the place, and it was. So I'm wondering if I can do it this way. So what I'm doing here is I'm bringing this on to show you. So I don't need any output from this at all. What I need... Let's get rid of
Simon's just come in and made a proclamation.
Oh, right.
He says, ooh, it looks like TwistedWave.
It is TwistedWave.
That's because it is.
Right, what I'm going to do in here is see if this works. Right, running applications and Cot Editor is running. Now, I don't know if it will record from Cot Editor or if it's going to need the right thing to do it with. But what we'll do down here, we're just going to call the file Siri. This is how this is sorted out. And I'm going to make it an uncompressed AIFF, which is the native file format. So let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do is run that. Let's see if it will record. I will need to see if that bounces up and down. If it doesn't, I'm going to need to do magic beans. But all I need to do in there is select it and get it to speak. Right, you won't hear that because there's no output on this. If you would like to hear the output on it, we'll need to put an output on it. So let's put an output device on it. Let's make that output device the loopback pipe. And this time you should hear it.
That's what you think, but only time will tell.
I'm not hearing it, so I've no idea if you're hearing it or not. But never mind. We'll stop it. We'll play it back, and then we will hear all about it if I can find the file. So let's have a look where that was saved. Let's go and find it in the audio hijack folder. Awesome source. Right, there it is, and there's my Siri file. So what I'll do with it is open this in TwistedWave. And there's the twice that Siri said that. So hopefully if you didn't hear it the first time, you'll hear it the second.
That's what you think, but only time will tell.
Right, so there's my Siri bit. Right, so now he's said it, I'll grab it, copy it, and go back to this file here and paste it in. So I need Siri to speak around this point. Just paste it in. What's happened is it's added all the extra frames it needed in this video. So if we play this through and watch the video...
That's what you think, but only time will tell.
It will carry on, then it will switch to the matrix view. Then it was... And then there's that. So we'll look at this edit with that one.
That's what...
Right, that's a little bit too long of a gap. So I'll select that, get rid of it, preview it again. That one.
That's what you think, but only time will tell.
Right, at that point, at the end of this, I can afford to get rid of all of that, and we're into the next bit. So, backspace that out. And now play the edit through and watch the video. With that one.
That's what you think, but only time will tell.
Then it was on to coding. And that's it. We have edited a video file by editing the audio. As I say, if this was talking head, I would think twice whether that was a good idea or not. It depends on the number of jump cuts. If it's 2 or 3 edits like you've just seen, you'll probably get away with it. People don't mind jump cuts. Apparently, they don't like big gaps. Who knew? But I think with talking head, if it's a professional video, because I said to you, didn't I, you could do this at work. It depends on the source video. If somebody's very still when they're doing it, you get away with it better. But for the type of video that we put together, this is a godsend.
I'm never still.
You're never still, no. But, you know, other people might be. I remember a video Mike once got to edit, and they'd recorded it outside the distribution depot, hadn't they, with all the engines running?
Yeah.
Couldn't hear a thing. Couldn't hear a thing. As long as you could lip read, you'd be fine. So it's like, should we redo the audio? Yes, that might be an idea. But with what I do, if I've got a video and it's totally finished, or in this case, a machine that could not edit video, it couldn't cope. The machine, the fans would come on, it would die a slow death in seconds of trying to edit video. So I didn't hold out much hope that TwistedWave would do any good, but it did. It let me edit it on a machine that's virtually dead. It's heading back to AppleCare shortly. It's that bad. But this was absolutely fine. This did not freak the machine out at all. And at that stage, all you need to do is save the file out and you're done. So that is editing video in here. It can do two things with the video. I mean, obviously you're making audio edits, but in relation to the video, it can add frames and it can take them away. Obviously, it makes more sense if you're adding frames for those frames to be the type of frames I've got on here. So if we go through this, you can see the types of frames I've got. This was recorded with me sitting at Mike's machine with PowerPoint running, moving through the slides and just speaking as I would speak to you at the beginning of tonight's show. But that is how it was edited. So there we go. I think there was a couple of more mistakes in there. Oh, more cricket, fabulous. That was the best one, that, you know, the Just Stop Oil Brigade. The way Bairstow carried him off. I'll never get over that. Brilliant. Worth watching for that. But there you go. So that was the video, but I made about 6 edits on that. And one of them, as I say, was putting stuff in, and I hadn't done that before. I'd taken things out. That's easy. But I thought, I wonder what will happen if I try and punch something in. And it was a joy to behold. I was surprised it worked, but it did. So let's get rid of that. Don't need to save all of that lot. No. Let's get rid of the Siri thing. And we are good to go there, I think. In fact, I'm going to have to leave TwistedWave open or it's going to get upset with its little self. So you just go down there and be quiet for a while. Right, so I need to get back into there, don't I? So TwistedWave itself has just gone subscription. You can carry on using the old version. Don't know how long that's going to be viable with Apple Silicon on the prowl and other changes, but you can keep using the old one. The subscription is the one where it's tiered. So the first year is 96, the second is 76 odd, third is 57. If you already have any version, you're automatically put onto the third year tier, where you will stay as long as you keep paying the subscription. That's not per month either, that's per year. The video and speech are both extra to that. If you go for one, it's $45. If you go for both, it's $29 for the two. That's why we went for both. I can't see me using... I actually said I can't see me using the speech option that often. And then I used it twice this week. So maybe I'll use that more than I thought. But the video option is great if you've produced a video and the final file's there and you've just remembered you've forgotten to put something in. So I've left a gap where the Siri bit should be. I can now go and edit that one, and that is much faster than going back to Camtasia and doing it properly. But there you go. So it's my audio editor of choice for individual files. People have said to me, you know, you talk about Hindenburg and then you talk about TwistedWave. Hindenburg is an assembly editor. It is a storytelling app, and for that it's fabulous. It was built for radio. So if you think about how a radio show would be put together, that's when I would use Hindenburg. I am at the moment, now I've got it installed, I'm on the trial at the moment of Hindenburg, got decisions to make with Hindenburg, but I have actually got the full version of version 2 installed. So if you want to see a demo of that, I can show you that and show you the difference between the two. I don't tend to edit audio at the level of taking an out or a misspeak in Hindenburg. I am much more likely to do that in TwistedWave and then take the final file into Hindenburg. That way, instead of seeing on the timeline of Hindenburg 49 edits, I've only got edits where the story is changing, and it's much easier to put together. So that's why I use the two. I'm just realising I think I've done a stupid thing, Mike, which is not unusual, is it? Let's have a look. Have I done a stupid thing? I have. I've done a very stupid thing. I had some slides in here and I think I've taken them out. Why would I do that? Because I'm an idiot. No, it's fine. I can deal with this, just to prove a point. So I'm doing magic on the third screen at the moment. And what I'm doing is putting in a section that I've missed out the presentation. It was there at the beginning and I forgot to put the slide there. So I have automation.
Good job you can talk and type, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? I'm just thinking, I can't remember what the heck I called it. I tell you what.
I can't talk and type. Whenever I have to type like 20 million into a cell as part of a demo, I have to be quiet so I can count the zeros.
But that is, you don't want to go bracket blind, do you? So to be honest, that's probably wise. What I do find amazing is I'm actually editing this PowerPoint file while you're looking at it. That wasn't clever, was it? But that's what I was trying to do. Right. And if I do one more thing. So I am editing this while you are looking at it, which I do find pretty amazing with PowerPoint. Keynote would throw all of its toys out of the pram well before then. Right. So if I go over here, that's the slide I've just created. Okay. So automatically processing files. So this came out of something that was mentioned last week. And it was to do with, I was showing Hazel, and I wish I could remember why I was showing Hazel. Have you got any recollection of why I was showing Hazel, Mike? Because I've got none whatsoever.
Somebody asked about it last week.
Yes, I know, but I can't remember in relation to what. But it did lead to a very interesting discussion about it. So I was thinking this week, what automatically processing files would be. I mean, I can demo stuff for you. I can make stuff up. But what's the point in making stuff up? It needs to be something that's genuine. So I was thinking about my machine, and I was thinking about what was working and what wasn't working. And I thought, do you know what's not working? Having the splitting of a PDF as a service. It's listed in the menu, doesn't do a thing. In fact, I don't think it even shows in the menu on this one. I have no idea why it just doesn't work. So I thought, right, could I create in here a system where I could take a PDF file and just drop it in a folder and have it split automatically where I don't have to do a thing? And that was what I decided to set up. Answer is yes. Spoiler alert, you can do that. So let's go in and have a look at it. So what I've got in here is I've created a range of folders, a whole range of folders. So let me talk you through what we've got here in relation to the folders. Let's make that bigger so you can see them all. Much, much bigger. Right. So I've created in here a folder that I'm going to put some source files in. Now the source files, you would not need this in the system. You only need the watch folder, the split files, and the completed files. This is here because I've got files in it. So these are the files that we'll be working with. So they are my 3 iPad secrets freebies and my, the alpha of that. It's got the wrong cover on it. That was the alpha of it. The beta was much better. The final thing was even better. But these are multi-page PDFs. So if we go in and have a look at these, you can see there's all kinds of pages in here. So I would be doing this for the bingo cards quite a lot. But those are my source files. Right. My watch folder doesn't have anything in it. It doesn't have anything in it because when I drop a file in it, what we actually want to happen is that the file gets processed and it gets moved somewhere else. We don't want to leave it in the watch folder or we'll get ourselves in a loop. This folder is where I want the split files to go. And this one is where the files go from the watch folder into the completed files. This is an icon that I downloaded from the internet to do it, and this is the Hazel rule because I was testing it, obviously. So in there I have the rule, but I uninstalled it. It's backed up in there, and that's the icon. So let's see how this works. First thing you are going to need is the process to split a PDF. Luckily, that is actually quite simple. So you need to go into Automator and you can choose a workflow, but I have actually already created this. So let's have a look at the split PDF. So all I needed to do for this to work was in the search in here, type split PDF and drag and drop that over here, which I will show you doing if you like. So we've got another one there. That's what you see by default. All I changed was the folder up here. So I just navigated to the folder that I wanted the split files to be in. I left the output name the same, and that was it. So I only had to make one change, which was the folder at the top. So I'm going to get rid of that. That is the Automator configuration that we're going to do. That could not be simpler than that. So come out of Automator. That is in the way I organise this. Your mileage may vary, but if you want to see what I do with it, in my Dropbox, I have my application support folder. This has been a godsend in changing machines because I created that on my other machine. Where would it be? Well, it's in Dropbox, Application Support, Automator. So as soon as I hook up to Dropbox, this machine is identical to the other machine. And there it is, split PDF. So it's in a single place. All my Automator files would be in there. The same with all of these. So all my PowerPoint files, etc., they have a folder of their own. Where are you? PowerPoint. And there you go. I've got my slides extras at the top. Then I've got an archive where all of them are. So after hours, everything is organised. It's the same on any machine. So back at this level, I have told it that when it's splitting the files, I want it to put it in there, which is that split files one. Now, the other folders here, we can ignore this first one, which is why it's 0. Why did I make this 2 if that's 0? Again, one of those weeks. But never mind. Okay, you just don't need that first folder. That is purely for me to store my files in and then drag them into these. So what I do need is something to watch the watch folder, and that is where Hazel comes in. So I will open up Hazel. I explained last time, I think, that I do have this running to rename screenshots. I will show you something next week that makes that redundant, but that's for next week. So how this works, you need to add a folder to be watched. So I can grab that and drag and drop it down there. I want you to watch this folder. Right, what do I want you to do in here? Well, I'm going to create a new rule. And the new rule, it doesn't matter what you call it, but I'm going to call it split PDF because that makes sense to me. I know what I'm going to do now. Right, I need to give it a condition. And I can make the condition quite complicated. But actually, for this, I am going to put a file in that folder. And if it's a PDF, I want it to split it. So that's my condition. Not if the name is, if the extension is, so PDF. If the extension is PDF, I want you to do things. Right, the first thing I want you to do, and we looked at this last week, there is no option in there to split a PDF. But we do have the option to run an Automator workflow. So we'll choose that one. Then we go and find the Automator workflow, which is in our Dropbox Application Support Automator folder, which again, this is a great reason to have things as organised as I do, because this means that the Hazel rules from one machine can be exported to another and nothing needs to be changed. So I want you to open the split PDF thing and do your thing with the Automator. But I also need, when you've done that, I need you to do something else. And the something else is I want you to move the file to, and in this case, I want to choose another one, and I want you to move it to this completed files folder. So I want you to move it there. That is actually all I need to do with that, apart from save it. Once I've saved it, the name that I put in here is shown under rules, and we are good to go. That is it. So I'll leave this on the other screen. I've now got millions of things on the other screen. I can't see my notes. Can't see anything at all. But I need to put in the watch folder a file. So what I'm going to do is go back to this view so I can show you that these were the source files. And I'm going to open the watch folder and the split files folder and the completed files. And that way you should actually see it in real time. So which is the smallest one of these? That one. Let's assume that's got the, it might not have, but let's assume that one's got the fewest number of pages. So all I now need to do to make this work is drag and drop it to my watch folder. It appears in there. Hazel has a look for it when it's having a think about it. It splits it into multiple pages and it moves the final file. So these are the pages and this is the completed file. You know that that one has been done and it's in the split files. Let's see that again. It's so good to watch, isn't it? So I'm dragging a copy of it into the watch folder. It moves it, well, it copies it into there, it has a think about it, splits the files and then puts the other files, so here's my Scrivener blueprint files, it puts that in the completed files folder. So far, so good. Right, because I've copied those, I can afford to delete them. So let's delete this lot. Yes, I know. Let's get rid of all of those. And because that's okay. That's okay while I'm sat here, isn't it? And I'm dragging it from a known folder and I'm putting it into a known folder. But we don't want to do that, do we? No, that's Neanderthal. We want a way to make this somewhat automated. And we can do that because we have drop zone. We have the black hole. So if I bring up that, you can see I've got this thing here called split PDF. How does that work? Couldn't be easier. So what I'll do is I'm going to remove it, all gone, and recreate it. So this is drop zone. Drop zone is quite inexpensive and can't live without it. Can't live without it, hence the black hole here. All I need to do for that to work is to drag the... Now, which one am I doing? No, I'm not dragging that, am I? I'm dragging that one. So I'm going to bring drop zone up. I'm going to drag the watch folder over to here. Why did you not add that? Oh, I can't drag and drop them. I always think I can, but I can't. So what I need to do is go into there, and you have a choice whether you want to move files to this folder or copy them. Now, for me, it makes more sense to copy them, but whichever one you choose, if you want it to do the opposite, if you choose copy and you want it to move, you can just hold a key down and it will do that. So I think it's the command key, and the same with move. If you're going to move it, but you only want to copy it, then you hold down the command key. So in this case, I'm going to have it copy. So this is a destination. Where are you doing this? And I'm doing this in here. So I want it to be that watch folder. Okay. So what that has done in drop zone is it's added the watch folder in there. If I were to drag and drop something to this icon, it would appear in that folder. But this is messy, isn't it? We don't like that. So if we edit that, we can change this to split PDF. And that bit there, we can change to the pretty icon that I had that's available for free, which was that one there. Right. And now if we update that and we bring drop zone back, we've got our split PDF. This green plus is indicating it's going to copy it. This one for Mike does not have that because I intend to move files there. If I don't want to move it, if I want to copy it into Mike's black hole, I will hold down that key and that will make a copy. So over here, want to copy it. Right, what I'm going to do is bring that up so it's sticky. So I'm doing this with Bartender. So now it's sticky. And I know my files are here. And that's very close to there. But we're imagining that we don't even have this open because we don't even need to see it, do we really? What I'm going to do is we'll do the designer one. I will drag that up to there. I will drop it on split PDF. It will place a copy of it in the watch folder. It will strut its stuff and it will move it to completed files. Watch folder now empty. I would do it that way because I would want a way with this. So let's see that for a second time. I would want to do it just like that, irrespective of where I was. And I could then, if I wanted to, have another... Let's bring that back. It's disappeared again. And drop zone. Right, in here, if I click on that, it actually opens up that folder in a separate window. So what else I could do is my split files in here. I could go up here and I could add another one and I could just say, it doesn't matter which one of these I choose, I'll say move files. I'm not actually moving any files. What I'm doing is I want to open that folder. So if we imagine that we don't have that open anymore, let's get rid of that. And what we're going to do up here is go into there and just click on the split files. And that now is the split files. So it's a one click to get to my split files. Obviously in here I can navigate upwards and I can navigate to my system that I've built, but it's a direct way to get to the split files that are in there. And it doesn't matter what the automation is that you want to do, you just need to have a folder that is watched, a folder for the output, and if you want to keep the input files, somewhere to put those when you've finished, and that is it. So, do we have any questions on that, Mark?
We do have one question.
Okay.
We have, Patience said, going back to the PDFs at the beginning, I'm assuming this only works with unlocked PDFs.
I would suspect so, but it would depend how the locking worked. There's multiple ways to secure a PDF. You can secure it for printing, which wouldn't impact it. You can secure it with a password, which would. I haven't tried it on a secured PDF. I have an app called, what was that app called? Is it PDF? PDF something, surprisingly enough, that takes the password away. And it does it very well. So I haven't tried it with that. I can try that, make a note of that, Mike. I would suspect if it's locked for printing, you'd be fine. But if it was locked with a password, you probably wouldn't. Do we have anything else?
Tony B's asked if you could do a session on Alfred, but I've pointed him to 2 existing previous sessions.
We did one for Alfred 3, I think, and then we did 4, and then 5 came out, and I didn't bother because the new stuff was for programmers, really. So the stuff for Alfred 4 is still accurate.
Yeah, that's what I've pointed him at.
I would suggest, if you're going to do that, that you might want to look at Raycast. I have switched to Raycast because the extensions give me more options. I can type in, for example, AMP and my amphetamine turns on, which keeps my computer awake. The Samsung monitor's fine, but good grief, it's in a U-approved one. It turns off every 4 hours, no matter what you do. You could stand there and shake it and it would still turn off. But I found with amphetamine that with the right settings, it doesn't. And there was also some incantation at the back, wasn't there, with the manual. I've never once, that's the first time I've ever needed the manual for a monitor to make sure it doesn't keep turning off. But I found that Alfred's system, they've put a store in place now, but Raycast had the store first, so it keeps everything up to date, whereas Alfred didn't. And yes, there were 2 workflows in Alfred that I couldn't replicate. One of them is now deprecated in Alfred, which leaves 1. But I do have Raycast installed and I do have Alfred installed. You can never have too many launchers. Trust me on that. So they're both installed. The reason that they're both installed is, in addition to, talk about belt and braces, in addition to a dedicated clipboard manager, which is copying and storing the last 1,000 things I've copied, I also have Alfred and Raycast doing the same. Because sometimes you'll find that it's just not running and you've copied stuff elsewhere and you need it back and it's not there. So Alfred and Raycast just work quietly in the background, backing up. So I think I have Alfred set to 6 months or a year. I'm not going to lose anything, put it like that. If I've copied something, it is going to be somewhere. Right, okay, anything else?
No.
Right, okay, let's get rid of that one then. And all of these windows over here. I've got all kinds of stuff running that I don't want running. We'll lose Hazel. Right, Hazel's telling me it doesn't need to be running. It's quite right, it doesn't. And let's get back in there. Okay, we have freebies. I've got 1 set of freebies and big discounts. So the freebies, the links are in there, Mike, is a mock-up pack. Unusually, this mock-up is bags and documents. And I thought they were very, very good. The link that you've got is a Behance link, but when you get there, it actually takes you to Google Drive. So you don't have to download them all if you don't want. You can just cherry pick the ones you want, or you can just click download the lot and download all of them. And they work really well with Affinity Photo as well as Adobe Photoshop. So they are completely free. The other thing that started today is Summerfest. So Summerfest and Winterfest happen twice a year. It's usually the same apps that are involved in this promotion. So now Scrivener was 50% off last week. If you missed it, it's 25% off this week in this Summerfest. So I think it's lasting for 2 weeks. There are some very good apps there. If you don't have Scrivener, 25% is a good deal. Scapple is definitely worth it. Eon Timeline is. BB Edit's a great app. DevonThink is 25% off as well. As is Melel, which is a word processor. Now, it's really good. I just don't word process enough anymore to be particularly interested. But there is a whole range. HowderSpot is brilliant. I did do a session on Devon Agent Pro, which is search on steroids. Do you remember I got so excited with that? I got Devon Agent Pro, and I'm like, no, it's really good for research and stuff, but for the kind of things I do, would it really be any good? And I decided I was going to search for this actor that I'd put a site together dedicated to his work. And I did this search, and it brought back a photo that I'd never seen before. And it was at one of the theatres where I'd been to see the French Lieutenant's Woman that he was in. And it found this photo, and I'd never seen. I had searched high and low for all stuff, and it brought back that. So happy to recommend Devon Agent Pro. I don't particularly use too many of the other things on there, but Take Control ebooks. If there is an ebook that is relevant to what you need, there is 30% off using the code. So happy to recommend that as well. There are various links going around for this, but I think that's not an affiliate link or anything like that. I think all of the others that you find are, but that one isn't. That's just direct to it, and they either give you a code or you buy it through them and you get the discount that way. But that is Summerfest, and I think it'll be on for at least 2 weeks. Right, Obsidian, the official importer. It's finally here. So if you are using, at the moment, Evernote, but if it's Notion, the Notion ability will be added shortly. This is the official importer from Obsidian themselves. So the idea is that you will have your notes elsewhere. As I say, at the moment, that's going to be in Evernote because that's the only one it's supporting right now. Plans are already in place for Notion and some of the other options. So if what you need is to take notes from somewhere into an Obsidian vault. Now I say an Obsidian vault rather than your Obsidian vault, because the thing to remember with Obsidian is you can have multiple vaults. So what I did with my Evernote notes was I exported them to Enix format, which is the standard for notes transfer in Evernote, and I took them to DevonThink. And that meant I had an offline copy of them should Evernote go bye-bye, which the way Evernote are going, that could happen anytime soon. Also, people are unhappy with what's happened in terms of they're laying off staff in the States to move to Europe. Whether that will turn out to be a good idea or a bad idea, it remains to be seen. But in the meantime, the ability to have your notes that are locked up on the Evernote servers in an Obsidian vault. So I would create a new vault and there's nothing in it apart from my Evernote notes. I would not personally take all my Evernote notes, 15,000 of them, and put them in my main Obsidian vault. They are old. There's all kinds of rubbish in there, but I would like to have a copy of it in plain text format with my images. That would be good. And that is what you can do with this. Now, there is a caveat on that before we go any further, which is, this is the Evernote end, not the Obsidian end. Evernote have 2 versions of their app. There is the version 10, which is the latest, which still, 3 years on, does not have all the features that the original version 7 has. Because of that, they made version 7 available in what they called Evernote Legacy format. I noticed the other day as I opened it to do an export, it offered to update me to the latest version. I'm like, don't do that. But it was worse than that. The message actually said, update Evernote Legacy. I assumed, with the wording of it, that there was a new version of the legacy version. No, there wasn't. They wanted me to ditch that version and use the new one. The reason that's important in relation to what we're doing with this right now is version 10 can only export 100 notes at a time. I'll be there a while, won't I? If I have to export 16,000 notes in batches of 100. It's not happening, Evernote. The original legacy version lets you export the lot, and I have done that multiple times. So my export of about 15,500 notes took 20 minutes, but it did do all of them. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do that today. One, because it took 20 odd minutes. And the other reason is you don't want to sit here and watch the Obsidian importer do that. But I have done 2 exports and I'm going to import the pair of them. And I did do them with the legacy version. So if you've still got the legacy version, hang on to it until you've exported your notes. Right, let's go and have a look at it. So, Obsidian. Right, let's get that over there. That's my vault. That's not what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to create hang on, open vault. Do I want to open a vault? I do. Right, so I've done this test one here and it worked, but I'll create a new one, right? So a vault is just a folder in Obsidian. It's nothing special. It's called a vault, but in it you will find plain text files. So I want to create a new vault here for my Evernote notes. So I need to give it a name. So I'll call it Evernote Export. Then I'll know what it is. Then I can pick a location. That makes absolutely no difference at all. But you can see here it's offering me Dropbox. Mine is actually in the application support Obsidian folder. There's the test vault that I did yesterday. It was early this morning. But I'm going to do another one here. I want it to be in there. So that's where I want to put it. And then I'm going to click Create. And here is my Evernote export. That's the name of it. There's nothing in there whatsoever. Now I've done this for a reason. Because I'm going to set it up completely from scratch. So what isn't in here at the moment is the plugin to do the import. So this is a complete vanilla setup, hence it being dark when my preference is light. But although it's a core plugin in terms of Obsidian made it, it's available in the community plugins. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't done it already, there's all this information, but you need to turn on community plugin support. So you need to think about that. Is this something that you want to do? You can always turn it off when you're finished. So I'm going to turn that on. And that means restricted mode is off. That is how you turn it back on if you change your mind. But with this, I'm going to browse the community plugins. So in here, I'm looking for Importer, and you can see there's quite a few of them. We're looking for the one that is from Obsidian. So it's this one here, the official one. It says import from other apps like Evernote because that ultimately is what it will do. So we'll click on that and have a look at it. So it was last updated 3 days ago. You get the option to install it or share the link. You can donate as well. And this is the instructions. So at the moment, it's planned to import from Evernote, which is done. Also HTML, a folder full of files, Notion and Apple Notes. Apple Notes would be a good one. There'll be people fleeing from Apple Notes. But at the moment, it only supports Evernote. So it then gives you some instructions of how to actually do it in there. But all I'm going to do with it is install it. So let's get it installed. Once it's installed, the second step is to enable it. So I'll need to enable it. If you want to assign hotkeys to all of this, you can do. It just depends. If that's something that you want. You can use it without, it doesn't matter, but you can add a hotkey. This to me is something that would be a one-way thing. I would be doing this once and then I would probably uninstall it. So I don't need a shortcut key. Right, so I am done. It is turned on. I am ready to go. I have no folders in my vault or anything. I have absolutely nothing in my vault. So what I am going to do is lose my other Obsidian and get to the folder. So what I have done is in Obsidian, I have done here 1 month of notes, which is 19 meg, and I've got this import tests, which is quite small. The reason for this will become apparent. So this one is what I'll try first, and then I will show you this one and I will explain why, but that's what I've got. So these notes, it says 1 month of notes. This was shared with me. It was a notebook that was shared with me from Tiago Forte. So it's 1 month of his notes. So that's what we're looking at doing. So how do we get those in here? Well, you have your quick commands, which is Command and P. And if I just type in there, import, you can see it shows me the importer and it says open the importer. So press enter on that. Now, this is where you choose your file format. Those file formats that I had here, these, you can see they are Enex files, Evernote export files. In here, you choose the format. Now, at the moment, there is only one format listed, but you can see this is built ready for future imports. Right, you then need to tell it which of these you want. So I'm going to browse to it, and I'm not looking at my Obsidian folder. I want to look at my notes folder over here. So I'm going for the 1 month of notes. What we see at the bottom is because I have default folder installed. So that is giving me a preview, and I can see what kind of mess it's in. It's an XML file with a doc type of Enex, and if we could look at that, it would just go on and on and on. In it, it has all of the information, and it's got all of the formatting information as well. What we're hoping is that it will bring it in and it will at least resemble the original notes. So I'm going to click open. Right, I need to give it an output folder, and at the moment it's suggesting Evernote. I could put in there 1 month of notes, or I could leave it set to Evernote because the file I'm importing is called 1 month of notes. So let's see what it does with that, but I'm going to import it, and it literally whizzes along and you're done. So there was 55 notes there. It's created the folder I asked it to create, and within that you can see, because the Enex file was called that, I didn't actually need this one called that. So if I go in and rename that folder to be imports, that would make more sense. Yes, I do want you to update. If you've linked anything, I want you to update it. So if I open this month of notes, these are the actual notes. So I'm going to widen this so we can see the actual title of these notes. Some of these are really wide, really long titles. But podcasting notes, and you'll see this is a good one because it's actually imported it as a H1. It's also got bold and highlighting that it's brought in. It's brought in all of that. It's brought in all of the links. Some of these podcasting ones had images in them. So we've got this here, which is a link. And there were images like this as well that it's brought in. Now, these are all the notes. So if we look at all of those notes there, they're the notes. But there is a resources folder, _resources at the top. When I open that, you can see in here, these have the same name as some of these notes. So if we were to look at the heart is the bottleneck, let's go and get that note. The heart is the bottleneck. Right, we can see that there is an image in here. And this image is actually in the vault. This is not pulling this in live from the internet, right? This is in the vault. And where it's stored in the vault is up here. So if we open that, there's the actual images. So it has brought all of the images in. It's done it in the way that Obsidian does it. So all your resources are together up there, and these are your notes. So far, so good. So you can see we've got lots of notes in there. Some have got links on, some are very short notes, others are long notes. We have, that was a studio setup note. That was a Twitter thread, I think, with all of the equipment on it. So you get the idea. It has brought all of that in it. But there's one thing that it looks like he didn't have set up in Evernote. So I wanted to do an import where it had some tags in it. So let's go back and do another import. So Command and P and import. Open the importer. Browse again to find the file. So this time I want to do an import test. This one was only a handful of notes, but it was a handful of notes that had tags in them. So I'm going to open that. Where do I want to put it? Let's put it in the imports folder. And it should, if I spell it right, imports, it should put it at the same level as 1 month of notes. And import, and literally because there's only 3 notes, it's going to take seconds. Right. So that was the name of the Enex, and these were the 3 things. So these were things that I grabbed this week. Some of them have images in them, so I think that had some sketch notes in it. So they have come in, and they are also in the resources folder, but the resources folder underneath the import test. So how to speak, and these were the notes. So those were the pictures that were with it. But this one, test note with tags, was the one I was interested in. So this one had a tag in the body of it of #MacBites. And how that's translated in Obsidian is like that. So it adds in what's called YAML front matter, which stands for yet another markup language. It puts the identifier as tags, and then it follows that with the tags. These ones also had tags in there, but these were proper Evernote tags. They weren't just me randomly throwing stuff into the body of the note. These were actually metadata attached to it, and it handles them exactly the same way. I added presentations as a tag, but clearly was added automatically, and that's just something historic that I do, which is if I'm clipping from the Evernote clipper, it used to be called Evernote Clearly. Do you remember that? It used to clip stuff from the web.
I do.
Really clean, no detritus and ads in it. They deprecated it, obviously. It's something that worked, so obviously they deprecated it. But what I'd done was I had started to use the tag Clearly, meaning it was clipped from the web. So I carried on doing it. But they were proper Evernote tags. This one had a tag of Evernote and Para. So this is an Adobe expert. I think InDesign's his big app. He is using Evernote again. He's gone back to Evernote and he's implementing Para in it. Now you can see I've already got this up here as the name. I've got this in here. I've got this in here. Yes, it's going to need a bit of a tidy up. I probably don't need any of that. And if this note was that important to you, you could do that. I wouldn't need when it was, just now, that's no use, is it? But the fact it's a 9-minute read is quite useful. And if we look down here again, we've got the images. So it's clipped this was from Medium, in a really good way into Evernote, and I've then brought it into an Obsidian vault, not my main Obsidian vault. My main Obsidian vault, I am obsessively tidy with it. I do not want other people's words in my vault. So I would keep a separate vault or use DevonThink or use Zotero to keep the original in. But what I might do with this is make some highlights or little short notes on it and put those in my vault as my takeaways from this. But I did the second import to show you how the actual tags work like that. So that means if we go over here and we go to the tags, these are the tags that are in here. So the Evernote one, the MacBites one, there's the MacBites one. If I click on this, it brings the search up and I can then see the notes that are tagged like that. So I've got 2 notes tagged with Clearly, and then clicking on these, it just loads them in. And again, this would need some tidying up. But the fact that the tags are at the top means it is native, it's got native support in Obsidian. And that's how you can get your Evernote stuff in there. So I foresee in my future, one of my epic exports of however many thousand notes I have by the end of it. If they try and take more money next year, I'm off. The only reason I stuck with it this year was I find it easy to capture to. So it's basically a filing cabinet for me, Evernote. Easy to search through when I'm looking for something. But I did put this in DevonThink out of the way, just in case. And it would be a good idea to have it in Obsidian as well, because in Obsidian, it would be plain text. And I have got lots of tags in there that I've used, but I would not import it into my main vault. But because Obsidian supports multiple vaults, the only issue you would have with multiple vaults was if you wanted them synchronized and you wanted to use Evernote sync service, Obsidian sync service. You get either 5 or 6. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6. But I only sync my main vault. The other stuff, as far as I'm concerned, like this, is just archive. So I would put it somewhere that it would synchronize between my computers, but I would probably have to accept it wouldn't sync to mobile. So you can use any cloud service to sync Obsidian to your desktop. You can only use 2 methods with your mobile devices. One is the Obsidian sync server and the other is iCloud. I really shouldn't, you should not tempt me to say words about iCloud. I did try iCloud rather than spend the money on the sync. 2 weeks in, couldn't take it anymore. was begging Mike if we could spend money on a sync server. We did manage to get it, well, I consider it at 50% because we use the same sync server, don't we? So you don't need one per person. I know people who do their entire family on one account. So, you've got mummy, daddy, and the sister and the brother, and there's 5 of them, and they're using one account. So you either, you sync volts. So as long as everybody's only got 1 volt and there's 5 of you, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. So Mike and I are synchronizing 2 volts, and it just works. It really does just work. So do we have any questions on Obsidian?
No, not directly.
Okay.
But Tony says, is there something going on with GoodNotes? I'm having major problems with the sync between devices. It's not using iCloud, is it?
Do you know what? Does it use its own sync or does it use iCloud? God, I think it uses iCloud, doesn't it? It wouldn't surprise me. Put it like that. That's why. I mean, people have said, like, you're ludicrous. Why would you pay for sync? Because I need it to work. I have not got time. This particular day when it decided it wasn't syncing, I had all these devices out on the desk trying to make it sync because I'm thinking to myself, if I put this on one device and it doesn't make it to the others and it disappears. So I must have spent about 4 hours trying to persuade the whole thing to sync and it just didn't want to know. I have had issues with other stuff. The only thing I actually now rely on iCloud Sync for is stuff where I can't sync it elsewhere. So Ulysses is one, although I could actually sync that via Dropbox. And Drafts is the other. But I haven't done the iCloud thing on here yet. I know it's over 2 weeks now. And I'm like, no, it's working. Leave it alone. You don't upset it. Leave it alone. So I actually haven't done the iCloud thing. I think it does sync via iCloud, so I wouldn't be surprised if there were issues. Check on their forum and check the status, although Apple never tell you if it's down. They tell you later.
Deb's saying it's having other problems as well as sync problems.
They have added a lot of features to it, so that could be some of it. They've added the ability to share and collaborate, haven't they? Which was what Evernote did, and then that crashed and burnt. So maybe they're just trying to push it a little bit too much at the moment.
iCloud's the only option. Problems only since they started the Apple updates.
There are no words. You know my feelings on iCloud. It's more of it's more of a hope than an expectation when it comes to syncing. But that's my experience. That's just my experience. I'm certainly not alone because when I've had issues with it and I've gone to the forums and I've done the Googles, there are people with kit way younger than mine that were having problems with it. It's a process called BIRD, the BIRD process. You'd think they'd keep that for Twitter, wouldn't you? Elon's probably trademarked it. But this BIRD process, if you find that something is not synchronizing, you need to terminate the BIRD process. It will automatically restart, and as long as you've got everything crossed and you've sacrificed chicken, it may synchronize. But before you know it, it's off again. I've spent days, wasted days is the right phrase, just trying to get it to sync. So what I've done is decide that I'm not doing the iCloud thing until I have worked out precisely what needs to go on iCloud and what doesn't. So, for example, my clipboard was synchronizing with iCloud. Why did I think that was a good idea? So I've nuked that. It's just local now. As I said, I've already got 2 backups of that, so I'm not concerned. What was the other thing that was on there? I can't log into my device with my watch unless I enable iCloud. So I have to type my password. Now 2 passwords. My 1Password password I have to type in. If my watch was working with it, that would just automatically, I would just have to tap it and we're done. All right. That would be amazing. Because my 1Password password is 70 characters long. No one's guessing that one, trust me. It takes me 3 goes to get it in. So it's really long. That would be great if I could do that. But I'm also thinking, do I want my messages synchronizing or is that going to cause problems? I really want to keep iCloud just for the stuff that really needs to synchronize. So I already mentioned last week, I am not enabling desktop and documents. That is not happening. I just want Drafts, Ulysses. That's it. Drafts and Ulysses and I'm done. I don't think there's anything else that I need it for. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get it to work. But yeah, I hadn't thought about GoodNotes or Notability or anything like that. So that was a good catch. I won't install that either. I have actually taken the decision to only have certain apps on the iPad. So there's an app that I have. Let me show it you. It's called Repeat, and it's hang on, where are we? Repeat. No, not Repeater book. I never said book. Crying out loud. Oh, good grief, Mike. Look, Echo Link. Oh, my dad and his radios. Repeat. Right. It's a habit tracker. Where are you? Don't tell me it's not there anymore. Crying out loud. It was a habit tracker. It was called Repeat. Is it called Repeat? Let me find it. Where are we? Yeah, it's called Repeat. Where's it gone? Oh no. I took the decision not to install it because it works fine on the iPad. So I'm just using it on the iPad. That's probably a good thing because it's not there, is it? It's got a dark green. Oh, hang on. Mac apps. That's what I'm looking. There we are. It's that one. Right. So I have taken the decision not to install that because it synchronises with iCloud when it feels like it, which isn't often. But on my iPad, it's absolutely fine. It's just the Mac it doesn't like. So I've left it. I've taken that decision. I've done that with a lot of apps. Obviously, as I move through, I'll probably be thinking, oh no, I will install that. But at the moment, I will report back any changes I decide to make, but it's not happening right now. Right. Any more questions?
Yeah, Kim's asked how you sync Obsidian from desktop to desktop.
Are we using the Obsidian sync for this, or are we using anything? Desktop to desktop can use any cloud service, and it's really simple. So if we move, if we make that go over to the right hand side, and we bring this on, and we move that to the left hand side. Right, I said in my local documents, application support Obsidian, there are my vaults. So this vault is synchronizing via Obsidian sync. These two aren't actually synchronizing. But this Evernote export one, let's say that I wanted that to synchronize. All I would need to do with it is close it down on the desktop, and everything that needs to sync is in the folder. So if we go into there and, what's the shortcut key? There's a shortcut key. Oh, I wish I could remember what it is. That shows you the hidden files. Everything you need is in there. So all I need to do to synchronize this is not have it local. So if we look at where it is, it's in my user folder, documents local. If I want it to synchronize, I would just take that Evernote export, drop it into whatever cloud service I want. Now I would put that in application support Obsidian. So let's stick it in there and then go find it. So where's Evernote? Evernote export, there it is. So we can see it synchronizing. I am going to drag that down into the Obsidian folder. You can see I've got Flight School and Purple Assets, all these kind of things. So that is, that one there, my Rome Research, that is Rome Research exported into an Obsidian vault. So these are all Obsidian vaults. The demo vault we've been using since January, good grief, we've been at this 6 months. The demo vault does synchronize via Dropbox. So this is what we've done. It is synchronizing. That's it. All I would do on another machine is what I'm about to do here. So I would go to Obsidian, I would go to File and Open Vault. Now, the vault we've moved was that one, right? It doesn't exist there anymore. So in here, I would get rid of it. That's not deleting it, it's just removing it from the recent list. Then over here, instead of New Vault, you don't need to do that. You can just open a folder as a vault. So if I hit open on that and we go to Dropbox, application support and Obsidian where we've just placed it and we find it, Evernote export there, then we can open that. Do you trust the author? Now obviously it's mine, so yes. That, if I say trust author and enable plugins, it will enable the one plugin that we've got installed. But if you don't trust the author, and obviously it's you, so you should do, then you can browse it in the restricted mode. But I'll trust the author. And there we go. That's it. That is now synchronizing. It's synchronizing automatically using Dropbox. I could do that with OneDrive. I could do it with pCloud. Whatever cloud service you have enabled on your Mac, you just need to put the Obsidian folder somewhere in the cloud and then open it. That's it. There is no magic. It is more difficult with the Obsidian Sync. Let me have a look and see if you can see the settings for Obsidian Sync without anything hideous happening. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. No, don't see anything catastrophic there. What I will do is I will bring this up. You only get to see this if you are syncing that way. So I will bring it on. This is mine. I'll bring the settings up. This is the sync. And what I've got here, it tells you if you're using iCloud Drive, then the documents and desktop may be synced by iCloud and that will cause conflict. So don't put your... If you're using Obsidian Sync, don't put it in iCloud. Just don't put it in iCloud is the best advice. But this here is where you manage the remote vault. So there is a remote vault called Mission Control, and this is called Mission Control. This is where you manage it. Then it gives you the sync status. Then you've got the device name. So this is Destiny. Then you get options for what you want to do with deleted files and sync activity and support. You can choose what you synchronize. Now you might think here, this is weird. I'm not excluding any folders. And I am syncing images, audios, videos, PDFs. Really? I don't put any of those files in my vault. But on the off chance that I ever did, I've left them turned on because I would want full sync. So all of this is what you are syncing. Do you want the hotkeys to sync? Do you want the settings, the appearance? What do you want? I want everything to sync. So you do get more control with Obsidian Sync, but obviously that's quite expensive. If you don't have any need to access your data on mobile devices, then you don't need it. You just need any cloud service that is installed on your system. So I've got installed Dropbox, and that's it. But other machines in the past, I've had OneDrive installed, I've had pCloud installed, I've had Google Drive installed. Any of them will synchronize your Obsidian Vault because it's just a folder full of text files. That's it. That's the beauty of it. And of course, by putting it in one of those clouds, you would back it up that way as well. If you deleted a file and it was on Dropbox, you could restore it from Dropbox, even if you deleted it off the local machine. So if you're using the proper sync server from Obsidian, you get version control as well. But obviously, as I say, that's paid for. So is that okay? Does that explain that?
I think that explains it. Yeah.
Okay.
One other question.
Yeah.
Where was it? Patience says, how are you liking Destiny?
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. I'm still setting up. It's still like, oh, I didn't install Hindenburg. And then so ensued 2 days backwards and forwards with support, but it's fixed now. So yeah, absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. I will get the spec written up this weekend. We're going to have an unboxing to be dealing with tomorrow. The toy did arrive, not unboxed yet. Mantra, leave it alone, it's show day. So there will be more to think about with Destiny, just not tonight. Anything else?
Nope.
Right, in that case, let's go back to the Prezzo for the unboxing. Now, I've got to get myself in the right spot here, otherwise I get in the way. See my mouse pointer? Right, we don't want me in the way. We want to go to the unboxing. Now, another week, another unboxing. Couldn't not be done for show 200. But with a twist. It's a tech toy, I'll tell you that. But who was it for? Right, hopefully the video will just play. Fingers crossed that actually happens. So, we have a new toy, don't we?
We do.
Should we give them a clue?
No.
No, I don't think so either. No. But you can see it's from Costco. Well, you can if you're looking at the right camera. And there we go. Costco. Oh, we need to tell them about the fiasco first.
Which fiasco?
Well, that's true. No, this fiasco was when you placed the order and you got the dispatch notice and then you got the email that said, sorry, we can't supply this device.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I hadn't. So would it come or would it not come? Obviously, you can see the box now, so it did arrive. But it was a hairy, scary 2 days, wasn't it, while you got onto support and said, are you sending me this or not? But the answer to that was yes. So let's get into it. It's unusual, you know, it's got your name on it. Mind you, there's a reason for that, isn't there? Right, let's get into it.
Makes it sound like I don't buy things.
You do, but just not as frequently as I do. Having said that, can I just point out that this is the second similar device in not that long. Similar, not the same. Right. Oh, they've sent us some brown paper.
Oh.
Awesome. Right. Okay, we have paperwork. That's a good start, isn't it? Do you think they've sent us what we do buy a lot of from Costco? Boxes of nuts. Yeah, maybe. No. I'm sure it'll be perfect. So let's take out the brown paper. Oh, look, there's lots of it. Mike's bought a job lot of brown paper. Oh, keep going. Oh, there's a clue. Get rid of all of that. There's a clue. Oh, it's got battery, so it's not nuts.
Okay.
Right. Look. Name there. So it's tech of some description. Right. Let's get it that way. Oh, that's not going to come out. It's going to need a little bit of persuasion. There we go. Right, I would suspect it's not a one of those bendy widescreen monitors.
I would suspect.
Yeah, it could be a monitor, but maybe not one of the bendy widescreeny things. Right, there we go. Intel inside. That's another clue. Right, check the contents. If the seal is broken. The seal's not broken, but it's about to be. So let's hair off into here. I'm presuming everybody's guessed by now. Right, let's get in. Oh, don't be difficult. Right. Doesn't want to know either. Right, I'm confident now that we're okay. I'm confident we can get into that. Oh, more packaging. You've bought more packaging, haven't you?
I have indeed.
They're not packed like Apple devices, are they?
No.
It's like, what's that? And why is it ugly? Right, this has got to be power, I would have thought. So let's get that out first. There we go, half a power supply. And there's the other half. Oh, handy! Look at that. I know something else that uses that. Oh. But never mind, let's put that down there and get out the real toy, which is this. You know what we should do at this point, don't you? Given what it is and who it's for. We should sing happy birthday, but we won't. We'll get taken off air. Right. There we go. And there's... Oh, that's quite light. There's the instructions. Take those out. And what's this? Oh, brown envelope.
That'll be the floppy disks.
I wouldn't be surprised, but do you know what my first thought was?
What?
A bung to somebody in the government. A brown envelope, that's what you think of. Okay, let's get rid of the box. Box coming through. And I think we can now say it, can't we?
Yes.
Put the new Windows toy front and centre. Right. Get these up. Well, at least it's well packed, I suppose. Ugly as anything, but well packed. And it's also in like a little fabric bag. So, where are we getting into the little fabric bag? There we go. Oh, it looks like a Mac.
It does.
It doesn't until the Acer thing comes into play, doesn't it? There we go. I presume that's the back of it. So, let's pop it down there and have a look. Oh, I haven't had a laptop in such a long time, but they did used to come with that, didn't they? There we go. Oh. You liking that? Shall we now tell them what it's for?
Yeah.
It's for Mike's mum's birthday. Because she's using yours at the minute, which replaced one that was broken at the beginning of lockdown, didn't it? And it's a bit on the aged side.
It is.
So this is Mike's mum's birthday present. You're wondering why we're opening it, and she isn't. That's because it would be criminal to give it to her, wouldn't it, without it set up?
Yeah.
So Mike's going to spend the next week and a half setting it up. with all that she needs on it. So I'm thinking critical for her.
Which isn't as much as you.
Which isn't as much as me. No, luckily it's not. But she does have things that I don't have, like the bridge club.
That's true.
She's got bridge apps that you're going to have to configure. I don't know how to play bridge, but she's red hot. So we're going to need that. So I think as long as she's got the bridge app and Zoom, she'd be fine.
Yeah.
But you should probably put other things on it like Microsoft Office and things like that. So we're going to turn it on. Do you think it's got any battery life?
Go on, try it.
We'll see if it's got any battery life. Not boding well so far.
No.
Unless you're supposed to hold it for longer. It could need charging. Come on, it's been there a couple of weeks.
True.
I think we'll have to stop and then come back when it's done. And oh, isn't that lovely? It's given me a notification. I think that's because it's midnight and the D&D's turned off. So, that was it. That was why Mike spent 2 days swearing blindly at it, didn't you? It was not good. It took days to set up, but it got there in the end, as you can see. So, it was dropped at the door. It was good, this, wasn't it? Mike sneaked up there and dropped it at the door. Obviously, we're still in lockdown in our minds. So then stood back by a considerable distance and on the phone to his mother, she thinks he's here. And he's talking away and then says to her, there's something at your door, you might want to go and check it. So you must have been stood, 20 yards away? But it got there and she was very, very happy with it. In fact, I was surprised that she was so surprised. But she travels a lot, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She does a lot. She's never in. She's got so many friends. So it wasn't actually on her birthday. It was 2 days later, 3 days later.
Yeah.
So I think she thought by then that the card we'd sent, that was it. And then a laptop turned up, brand new laptop. So she is going to be thrilled with it. Trust me when I say that. So she's now got it. And she's on her jollies now, isn't she? So when she's back from her jollies, we'll finish off the remote setup and get it on the internet. Oh, so yes, she was. She was absolutely thrilled. But the setup was a complete nightmare, wasn't it, Mike?
Wasn't great, was it?
The black screen of death. Not to mention the fact she changes her passwords every other day.
And doesn't tell me.
And doesn't tell Mike. And some things need two-factoring. So it was grand fun. But there you go. That was the unboxing this time. Thank you, Tony. She does love it. She absolutely loves it. Good night to you, Tony. And I'm loving the fact that Kim said for Lola. Laptop for Lola. Actually, it's funny you should say that because I saw a video yesterday because I was watching Sherpa's video. He said, you've watched this video, you might want to watch this one. It's another husky. And it was a girl husky. What was it called?
Forgotten.
Oh, I've forgotten as well. That's terrible, isn't it? But it was this girl husky and she was sat on the bed with a laptop in front of her and apparently she was browsing the internet for a boyfriend. And when they turned the laptop round, there was all these boy huskies. Yeah, don't give Lola
Paw
ideas.
left and paw right. Yeah,
she does not need to paw left or paw right, doesn't Lola. I've just noticed Ken saying about syncing Obsidian. Hello to you, Ken. You've reminded me that to sync Obsidian, desktop to desktop, you say you're using Dropbox. I know that you are a good internet citizen and you do not use emojis in the names of files or folders, whereas I'm naughty and I do. If you have tried that, it does not sync on Dropbox. So if you want to do a Ken and sync it on Dropbox, do not use emojis in file names or folder names. I'm actually in the process of taking mine out. You'll be glad to know. But you had that problem, didn't you? When you were syncing with Dropbox. And what happens is it synchronises everything apart from the files and folders with emojis in, and it puts big red dots next to them, but doesn't tell you why. But it's because it doesn't support emojis. So Dropbox does not support emojis. iCloud does, and the sync server does. But thank you for reminding me of that, Ken. Right, what have we got next? We've got what's coming up. So we are back next week for show... Oh, I've got 200 there. Oh, deja vu. Is that today? I've totally lost track. Anyway, never mind that. It's 201 next week. On demand, you will find everything that we do at youtube.com/Elaine Giles. There is the dedicated After Hours playlist. This show will be going on that playlist as soon as we have finished, and you can find the playlist at macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. That is where you'll find, if you scroll back far enough, episode 1 with all of those unboxings. Ah, it's got to be done. In fact, I'm thinking I might go back and watch a couple of them. We love you guys, and if you love us, give us a like, because it really does make a difference to YouTube. You could also subscribe, hit the bell, and you will get notifications. You can find my mailing list at elainegiles.com/VIP, which is all of the stuff I do. And there is the MacBites mail at macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. I'm thinking, isn't it about time we had another Apple event?
I was thinking about that.
I know
the
we've
other
only
day.
WWDC.
September.
Yeah, but iPhones, they're going to want our money again, aren't they? So September, October, another Apple event. You won't want to miss that. Then, of course, there is Slack, where we carry on the conversation. If you would like to join us there and you are not already a member, you need to go to macbites.co.uk/join Slack. If you are already a member, then you lose the join. Just put macbites.co.uk/Slack and you will get straight there. Oh, Tracy's in the house. Hello, Tracy. And that is where you can find us. Now, we say Twitter, don't we? But Twitter's quite toxic. As was proved with Johnny and his washing of his AirPods. Where it's at the moment is Threads, and we are both available on Threads. So I'm Elaine Giles on Threads, and Mike is Thomas Mike 67 on Threads. We're also on Mastodon, aren't we? But that's a whole different bag of hurt. No idea how that works. But apparently Threads is going to integrate with it. I don't know how that's going to work for you, because I'm Elaine Giles on Mastodon, and you are Thomas Mike. Not Thomas Mike 67. So we've no idea how any of that's going to work, but that's where we are, and we would love you to join us there. So there you go. What questions have you got? What chat have we got in here? Right, I saw something from Renee just file past there. Thanks for the milestone. You are very welcome, Renee. Oh, you need your new phone. Did you get a new phone last year? We've not had a new phone since 2019. Oh, Peter wants the picky on Slack, so you see if you can name the rest. Wow, if you can name all of them, I'd be impressed, Peter. I'd be impressed. But let me find that so you can have a gander at it while we yak. Whoa, I've got to go back quite a way here. It was to the beginning, wasn't it? I'll go find it. One's easy, I think. No, I think two are easy. But beyond that, no, I agree with you. Right, I think it's coming up here. There we go. There it is. There's the United Picky. I can't even name them all. I can probably name one more than you, Peter, only because you can't see her properly. And I'm not sure about the guy on the left, Mike. So don't give any names, but I'm not sure about the guy on the left. But I can name all of the others. I know all of the others. Renee's got an iPhone 12 Pro Max. What's ours? Is it an 11? Yeah, I think ours is an 11, so 1 year before you. But we kept putting it off in lockdown. That was the thing. We just put it off in lockdown. Renee does get new things. I know they had a watch as well. Oh, I see we've got a need in there, Renee. A need. My battery is shot on my iPhone 11. It's not great at all. If it lasts the day, it's doing well. So I'll be looking at the new phone. But, we're 2 months out, 3 months out from the announcement, and people are still saying it's going to be limited, which I don't like it.
Isn't the one on the left? I could be totally wrong here.
On the very left?
On the very left.
Yeah.
The husband of the one on the right.
Is he? I'd have said grandfather. Wow.
I could be totally wrong.
I don't know.
Could be a player.
Maybe Peter knows. There you go. But you should definitely recognise some of the others. There are at least 4 of them there. That any United fan would get 4 of them. The lady in question is related to a legend. Let's see if you can work out which one. That clue should be behind it, actually, that it was Munich. It was all to do with Munich. What else have we got in here? So many people are on the 11, which is the one we're on. Tracy might be up for a new phone. If it impresses you. Ooh, Tracy's getting technical there. You should have written want, Renee. No. Stick with need. You must never, ever say just want, because you'll talk yourself out of it. Mind you, I was like that with Destiny. It was like, no, I am not moving. No, I'll send the other one back. And it's like, do you know what? You just need something that works. Make it work. Simple as that. Peter's got the 4. Excellent. Right, let's have a look. Wilf McGuinness. Yes, indeed. So I'm going to do the pointy thing here. This gentleman here is Wilf McGuinness. This was when he was being installed as, was it chair or president?
President, I think.
President of the Duncan Edwards Foundation, which should give you big clue to the lady on the right. So this is Wilf McGuinness. This here is Paddy Crerand. This is Sammy McElroy, who was playing when I was a kid. I remember him on the team when I was a kid. I'm a little bit too young to remember this one, which is Dennis Law. This guy also played for United. I'm not sure if he played that many games, though, did he? Guy that lives near your mother.
I don't think he played many.
No, I think he only played a handful. But he's the grand poobah, isn't he, of the Association of Former Manchester United Players. Alan Wardle. Alan Wardle. So he was a United player. You could be right that this gentleman is related to this lady. This lady is a distant cousin of Duncan Edwards, who died in the Munich air crash. So she was on the board, I think, at the time of the Duncan Edwards Foundation. Dusky, wasn't it? Dusky. So she was there as well while he was being installed. So, yep, that was what it was all about. Right, let me move that over there.
No, it's not Terry Gibson.
It is or it isn't?
It isn't Terry Gibson.
No. Although I can see where you're coming from that. I really can. Right, let's switch to that and we are good. Oh, that was... Well,
I'll put the answer in the chat of the other person for you.
When we find out who it is.
I know it is. It's Sammy Mack.
Oh, no, I thought it said Sammy Mack. I said Sammy Mack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has.
Oh,
yeah, he got the main 4. Alan Wardle's, I don't think he played that many games, but as I say, he is in charge of the Association of Former Manchester United Players.
So
when they have their golf days and stuff, he is in charge. So a lovely guy, actually, isn't he? Do you remember the first time we went there and we got lost? We went to his house. Right, there you go then. So, but I can't see, now you've said Terry Gibson, I can see that, can't you?
Yeah.
The ones that people like Arthur Albiston, where he had big permed hair, and you see him now, and then virtually bald.
Scott McGarvey's another one.
Scott McGarvey, and I was thinking of Clayton Blackmore, although he has more hair than the other two, I think. He was quite shy, Clayton Blackmore, when we met him. You know, at the MEN Arena?
Yeah.
He totally surprised me, because I had him as like... overconfident. Some would say overconfident, but no, he wasn't, not at all. Right, so do we have any other questions while we're lusting after iPhones?
Don't think so.
Renee had an iPad though, didn't you? There was definitely an iPad arrived after the one you threw down the stairs. What you should have done with that, Renee, was put it in the wash, because apparently it would have survived a wash. Maybe Jonathan should try throwing these things down the stairs. You know, he could do like... Do you remember that Will It Blend? Yeah. Will it survive Jonathan's washer? There you go. Whole new section for the show there. Am I up for an iPad? I don't think I am up for an iPad this year, but I keep saying there'll be a 17-inch iPad. There'll be a 17-inch iPad, and someday there will be a 17-inch iPad. That would be great for apps like the Affinity apps. So if there was a bigger one, might think about it. Might think about it. But having had a new computer, even the phone's in doubt. Oh, Peter says his iPhone 7 still plodding along. Mine was the 7 before I got the 11, and there was a huge difference between the 6 and the 7. The 7 was as though like they'd pushed that a bit further. But when I think about the 7, what year would the 7 have been? The 11 was 2019, so was it 2016?
Something like that.
The 6 was 2014.
Yeah, because my 7's downstairs. Still use it.
It's not bad, but they certainly don't seem to last as long as an iPad. I've got iPads from the one. Do you remember the delivery that all went wrong? Don't they all? Don't they all? This one was a classic. This one was it. You know how I track everything, literally to within an inch of its life. That I was tracking it, and it was out for delivery. So I was quite calm at that stage. This was release day. It was out for delivery, and then I checked again, and it was back at the depot. And I thought, what? Why have you taken it back to the depot? So I rang them and spoke to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, got a lot to deliver. We'll deliver it tomorrow." I said, "Pardon? You know, this is release day." So I said, "Can I come and collect it?" They said, "Yeah, fine." So they gave me the address. So I checked on Google Maps, Google Earth. There I am, following this thing along. I thought, right, so I need to go up here, past this road, past that road, past this pub, and it's on the left. So I travels up there. This must have been probably about 5-6 miles away. I get up there, and it looks nothing like Google Maps. I take a left 2 roads before I should do and end up on a one-way street going the wrong way with a spy camera at the end, a traffic cam. I thought, oh no, I'm going to get fined. So I managed to get to the place, and I managed to get my iPad, and I managed to get back, and I didn't settle for like 6 weeks that I didn't get any fine or anything for this. No points on my licence for going the wrong way up a one-way road. There's never ever a day that something just arrives and it's simple. Seriously, there isn't. Never. Oh my. What else have we got in here? Oh yes, an iPad M2. Excellent, Renee. And Kim has just replaced her iPhone 8. Was the iPhone 8 the one that came in different colours? Was something weird with the iPhone 8?
I think it was.
Yeah, I decided I was skipping that one because I had the 7. But I do remember the iPhone 6. It was either the 6 or the 6S, but I think it was the 6. And it was 2014, and it was the year that Mum died. And I'd got an iPad and a phone within a couple of weeks of each other. The iPad was the one I've just explained. The phone was a fiasco. As it went in the basket and I pushed buy, it was same day delivery. It was first day delivery. They bait and switched me. So within minutes, it's on 3-week back order. I played holy heck with them. I was on the phone for hours with them. And I had screenshots to prove that this said it would be there, and then they changed it. Oh, this poor woman. So I think it was a Friday it was due out. And this woman said, if I could get you a phone, I would. But, it's going to be, I think it was 6 weeks on back order. So on the Saturday, the day after the first day, you took Mum out shopping. I think it was one of the last times she went out. And she said it might come, so you've got to stay here in case it comes. Anyway, she staggers back in with all her shopping. No, it hadn't. Obviously, it wasn't going to arrive on a Sunday. But on Monday, I'm sitting there minding my own business, eating breakfast. Knock on the door. Apple had only found one. And ultra fast delivered it for Monday because I'd threatened all sorts, and it was going to cost them money if they didn't, put it like that. And they got it there to me on the Monday, so I was quite impressed with that. Oh, Deb replaced the keyboard with an Apple one for the iPad. Who was it used the other things? Bridge keyboard. I had no idea they'd gone under and started up again. I just heard they were really good keyboards. Oh, Tracy says, unless the 2020 11-inch iPad Pro starts playing up, you'll do with it for a while. Your mother backed up a one-way street once. Do you know, it's too easily done. Do you remember when we turned out the vets and we'd come from the left and I made to turn left?
Yeah. And
it was one way. There was no sign. There was no sign to tell you it was one way. It was only when I saw the traffic coming at me that I thought this is clearly one way. And I had to back into the vets. But I was in no state to think straight having come out the vets. For a start, you're bankrupt, aren't you? Right. Tracy said, old lady came out and said it's a one-way street. Whichever way you're going. Oh, my. Oh, it was Deb that had that. I thought you did. You were always really keen on those, saying they were fantastic. I'd never even seen one. But I did clock it the other day because I thought I didn't know they'd gone bust, but they had, and now they're back. Peter is still using iPad Air as a Kindle with quick lookups. Got an iPad Air 5 last year. I've lost track of all the different models, I must admit. You know, I know there's pros and airs and stuff, but I think it's a complicated lineup. It was easier back in the day. iPad 1, considering you'd not seen it, you were ordering it 5 months after it was announced, and you'd not even seen it. All you had to decide was, do you want cellular and how much memory? That was it. Other than that, they look the same. When the iPad 2 came out and we went over to Liverpool to buy one, you had to decide what you wanted while you were in the queue, because they were giving you raffle tickets, you know, lottery tickets to get it. And we were like, do we want the black one or do we want the white one? Do we want the black one or do we want the white one? We just couldn't make our mind up, could we? Same with the phone. Don't make it complicated, Apple. Make it one colour. Make it easy. And then you wouldn't have to worry about inventory control, would you? Of how many pink ones you need and how many green ones you need. You wouldn't need it. Just saying. Just an idea. Do that. Deb says they were lovely, but the last one hinges were very weak and breaking. Yeah, I just they just seem to be one of those brands like 12 South, where they make amazing kit. It's not cheap, but it's amazing kit. You just expect them to be there. I had no idea there was any issues. But the article that I read was saying, they went under, but the same people came back, and it looked like a way of writing off the debt and starting up again. So the good news is at least the stuff's still there. But the bad news is, you know, if you had an order and it didn't get fulfilled, which is a bit naughty, but at least they're still there. Right, okay then. I'm thinking of ice cream, Mike. I am. I know what we're doing next week, and we will have an unboxing. Because my toy's downstairs and I've not unboxed it. I did see it though, didn't I? I did look at it and wave at it from up here.
You did.
I did.
You did.
And Mike said, leave it be. Don't install new toys on show day. New mantra for everybody. Right, okay, we will head off then. So, for the moment, I will say it's good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.